Welcome to the second hearing of the committee's inquiry into proposed energy from waste facilities. I acknowledge the Wiradjuri people as the traditional custodians of the lands on which we are meeting today. I pay my respects to elders past and present and celebrate the diversity of Aboriginal peoples and their ongoing cultures and connections to the lands and waters of New South Wales. I also acknowledge and pay my respects to any Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people joining us today. My name is Nicole Overall and I am Chair of the committee. I ask everyone in the room to please turn their mobile phones to silent. Parliamentary privilege applies to witnesses in relation to the evidence they give today. However, it does not apply to what witnesses say outside of the hearing. I urge witnesses to be careful about making comments to the media or to others after completing their evidence. In addition, the Legislative Council has adopted rules to provide procedural fairness for inquiry participants. I encourage committee members and witnesses to be mindful of these procedures. I do have a short statement from Dr. Amanda Conn, the Deputy Chair of this inquiry, this committee. Our Deputy Chair, Dr. Amanda Conn, is back here in Parks today, but unfortunately is unable to participate in person due to sudden illness. She has asked me to read this apology. This hearing is a significant moment for the Parks community. I've been looking forward to hearing your stories and insights, as well as shining a light on the broader issue of waste management across New South Wales. My sincerest apologies that I've become too unwell to participate today. Please rest assured I remain committed to the Parks community and the inquiry. Shout out to Ron Dunford, chemist, for being able to deliver medical supplies to my motel room on short notice. So as I'm sure you would all be aware, we had a bit of a challenge in terms of committee members being able to arrive yesterday afternoon, but we are here and very pleased to be here with you today. So to each of the witnesses, welcome and thank you for making time to give evidence. Could each of you, starting from my left, please state your name and position title and swear either an oath or an affirmation. Councillor Westcott.
Madam Chair, yes, Neil Westcott, Mayor of Parks Shire. I swear that this evidence now about to be given by me shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God.
Thank you. Councillor Patterson.
Joy Patterson, Parks Shire Councillor. I swear that the evidence given now about to be given by me shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God.
Thank you. Mr.
Rutjes.
Rutjes.
Rutjes. Patrick Rutjes. I'm the Director Environment and Planning with Lachlan Shire Council. That's 100 kilometres west of here. I solemnly, sincerely and truly declare and affirm that the evidence now about to be given by me shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Thank you. Do any of you, each of you, have a short opening statement that you'd like to make? Councillor Westcott.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So to you, all of you, and to the staff that have accompanied you, I'd just like to welcome you to the Shire of Parks, and thank you for making the effort to come out to our beautiful part of the state, and to hear from the people who will be most affected by this facility if it goes ahead. I just placed these couple of Indigenous tools on the table that I picked up recently on my own farm, just to remind us that we are indeed caretakers of the land, and many have come before us to call this land home, and that our desire is that many generations will continue to look after and care for the soil, the water and the environment, so that it may continue to care for us into the future. Madam Chair, and to your team, you have a huge responsibility to discern the narrative, the anxiety and wishes of our residents and its representatives in a way that enables you to be genuinely persuasive when you return to Macquarie Street. It is a pity that more of your peers have not taken the opportunity to do what you have done, and I thank you again. This opening statement, Madam Chair, with your blessing, will be a joint one with my colleague, Councillor Patterson. So I will hand over to Joy, and if you don't mind, I will just say a few words after she completes her statement. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair and committee members. I'd like to start with the human impact this proposal has already had on our community. For more than 12 months, our community has been living under a cloud of uncertainty about a project proposing to bring 730,000 tonnes of metropolitan waste each year into our shire to be incinerated. In a facility that can never be guaranteed to be 100% safe. Mental health is not something that appears in environmental reports, but I have personally witnessed the toll this has taken: distress, anxiety, and a decline in community spirit. People are genuinely worried about their health and their future. Parkes is a close-knit regional community, and this issue has unfortunately divided people in ways we rarely see. Neighbours, friends, and even families have found themselves on opposite sides of the debate. We are proud to be recognised globally for our clean, green reputation, and we have worked hard to build a regional economy based on agriculture, tourism, and science. The idea that Parkes could instead become known globally as a destination for hundreds of thousands of tonnes of metropolitan waste, transported 580 kilometres from the source, to be incinerated, is devastating. Agriculture is a major contributor to our local economy, but even the perception that crops or livestock could be affected can damage market confidence and affect the long-term viability of generational farming operations across the region. Tourism and science, including our festivals and the Parkes Radio Telescope, also support jobs and help create the community spirit that holds our shire together. And while this project is presented as delivering economic benefit, it's important to understand where that benefit actually goes. Parkes Shire Council has requested a levy, but to date that has not been agreed to. Electricity generated isn't coming back to the community. It will stay within the Special Activation Precinct with no direct benefit, like reduced power costs for Parkes Shire residents. As it stands, much of the financial return from this facility would go to the proponent and the state, while the local community carries the long-term impacts. More than 6,500 people signed a petition opposing this proposal. 70% of respondents in a local survey said no. Our Wiradjuri community and Parkes Shire Council have all publicly opposed it. Farmland was sold for the Special Activation Precinct with no community consultation, and many people feel like they have been sold out, or at the very least, left out of decisions that affect their future. We are told this is new technology, but somewhere becomes the testing ground. Once contamination occurs, you cannot undo it. So my community is asking a simple question: why Parkes? If Sydney said no twice, why is it acceptable here? My community are not asking for special treatment. We are simply asking to be heard. Because when thousands of people say no, in a democracy, surely the question must be asked: when does no actually mean no? Thank you.
Councillor Westcott, you had something further to add?
If that's okay.
It's fine.
So the simple truth, Madam Chair, is that the people of Parkes do feel abandoned and betrayed by the New South Wales Government, and we just do not want this energy from waste facility in our shire. We're not here today to debate the theoretical merits of the technology. We're here because our community has been left in the dark by the government, by bureaucracy, and by a process that has failed to meet even the most basic standards of transparency and engagement and respect. The proposal didn't come from the Parkes community. It's been driven by state policy and facilitated through the special activation process, and it has happened without genuine engagement, without clear explanation, and without social licence required for a project of this magnitude. For more than 3 years, Council has been asking the question: where is New South Wales Health? Where is the EPA? Where is the Chief Scientist? Where is the independent peer-reviewed evidence that these facilities are safe? Those answers have not been provided, and in that absence, fear has filled the void. Our community is being exposed to conflicting information, and we've heard claims that these facilities are unsafe. We've heard that respected organisations oppose them. We've seen references to risks associated with dioxins, heavy metals, and proximity to food production. And what has the government said in response? Very little. The Chief Scientist has said these facilities can be safe if situated away from human populations and food production. Think about that. We are told emission standards are among the strictest in the world, but that does not answer the fundamental question our community is asking: are these facilities safe for human health, for agriculture, for the long-term future of regional communities? Yes or no? If they are safe, then show us the evidence. If not, then stop right there. This is just not a technical or planning decision. It is a human decision, a community decision. This facility proceeds without confidence. The costs to parks will be real and long-lasting. There is a reputational cost to the region, proudly known as a clean and green and premium food producer. There is an economic cost to agriculture, to investment, to land values, but there's also a human cost. The anxiety already present in our community is significant. Families are worried about their health, their children and their future. People are asking whether they should stay or whether they should leave. Prospective residents and businesses may simply choose not to come. And importantly, the distinction between real and perceived health risks becomes almost irrelevant in this context, because of that perception alone can drive behaviour, decision-making and long-term decline. You cannot regulate away fear, and you cannot legislate community confidence. Once lost, you cannot easily restore it. Madam Chair, Parkes is a premium food producing region. Our economy depends on trust in the integrity of our produce, our livestock and our environment. Even the perception of contamination can have permanent consequences, and once that trust is lost, it simply cannot be regulated back. We're also told that New South Wales faces a waste crisis. If that is true, where is the urgency and the leadership? Instead, what we see is a proposal to transport, as Joy has said, millions of tonnes of Sydney's waste into regional communities. So let me be clear. We do not accept that Parkes should become the solution to Sydney's waste problem. It should be very clear to anyone interested that the vast majority of the people who call this wonderful place home do not want this to proceed. If energy from waste is to play a role in the waste crisis, it should be at the source. It should be in Sydney. It's a bit rich to have a look at the backlash from the original 2017 proposal at Eastern Creek and comments made by our federal and state environmental ministers back then. How easy must it be to pick 4 regional areas to make the problem go away? And then there is a question of fairness. If the state can collect hundreds of millions of dollars each year through a landfill levy, then surely it can recognise the burden being placed on host communities. At present, Parkes is being asked to carry that burden and receive nothing in return. No compensation, no investment, no acknowledgement. That's not a partnership. It's really just the definition of being treated as a second-class citizen. Madam Chair, this inquiry represents an opportunity for leadership that has been clearly lacking to date. We welcome the recent steps to refer the project to the Independent Planning Commission, but let's be honest, it's taken more than 3 years of letters, requests and strong advocacy from the Parkes community, some representatives sitting behind me here, and that's just not good enough. In closing, Parkes Shire Council objects to the building of the waste-to-energy facility in our Shire. The residents of this beautiful Shire of Parkes are clear that in their opposition to it. And finally, if this waste crisis exists in Sydney, if this technology is to play a part in solving the crisis, then it should be at the source. It should be in Sydney. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Westcott. Mr Rachis?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm certainly here to, on behalf of Lachlan Shire Council, and voicing our support for Parkes Shire Council's opposition to this proposal for the reasons that were mentioned. Especially, I want to highlight again that indeed Sydney's waste needs to be dealt with in Sydney. It is absolutely inappropriate to cart it for hundreds of kilometres with diesel trains to a regional location. Secondly, it's very important to see the waste hierarchy, where basically landfill is the very lowest and energy from waste is just above that. And there are a myriad of other things that should happen first before this is considered. And that should be the prerogative for any waste crisis or any waste strategy. And therefore, this should be the last resort. It should not be the first option. Thirdly, these kinds of facilities need to be in a precinct, and they need to be the last cornerstone of a precinct. So there should be a facility that deals with organic waste and creates compost and the like. There should be a recycling facility. All of this needs to happen first before an energy from waste facility is even considered as part of a circular economy precinct. And so yet again, this proposal here clearly shows that it's literally the first. There's nothing around it that would be part of that precinct. It might come later, and there's space for it later, but it's certainly not there. And then also to be mentioned that obviously the community consultation has certainly been lacking. We had to insert ourselves into the process and ask the state government and the proponents to be considered. We were not on their radar because we are not parks, we're just adjacent to it. Yes, we are 100 kilometers away, but it is on the same river system. The air travels the same direction. We've got the same effects as parks has. We've got the same base of agriculture, of tourism, of clean air. And so we are exactly the same affected by this proposal, and not considering that has also not gone down well with the community. Thank you.
Okay, thank you all. Now, with questions, will be a very free-flowing situation here that any of the members will have the opportunity to put forward questions as we move along. I'll begin by asking Councillor Westcott, when the concept of energy from waste in relation to the Special Activation Precinct here in Parks was first advanced, is it the case that Council was willing to engage constructively?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll just so Council has known of the potential of the inclusion from pretty much the outset. There was, yes, it was raised at an original inquiry by design back in 2019. There were 60 or so. I personally wasn't a part of it, but there were 60 or so people came up from Sydney, and there were some council staff members involved as well. But there was a full-page community statement document published by the Inquiry by Design workshop, and some various master plans put out at the time. Council was aware of the December 2020 call for expressions of interest in the facility. However, we were excluded from that process. Council repeatedly requested for some sort of education or information campaigns to the state government and some sort of community benefit scheme. This, in the early stage, we're trying to get our head around how all this will work. As a consequence, there was a drop-in session back in May 2022, which included energy from waste and online energy from waste sessions in August of 2022. And there has been almost no EFW communication since that time, which is coming up to 4 years. This is a state government initiative, and yes, council had information, and I guess I was a councillor at the time, and I would be to pay respect to all our councillors. We were learning at a pace everyone else was learning. This seemingly at the beginning was a bit of a shiny star that $1.5 billion for investment into any regional community is something to be considered. And as late as March last year, I wrote a open letter to my community explaining that we needed to perhaps just give due diligence to this, to see, certainly there was no compromise on health, no compromise on the environment, no compromise on agriculture. But considering what this was, the size of this investment, perhaps we should give state government the opportunity to come and explain and educate, for want of a better word, how this will fit. I was naive in that regard, I have to admit. There's been so little correspondence that, as I said in my opening statement, that fear filled that void, and we've been And then by October of last year, I clearly said that if by February of this year there was nothing that state government could offer that would change the minds of my community, then we would stand with our community, and oppose, which we did unanimously at the February Council meeting, this project.
Yes, so just going to that, Councillor Westcott, that's right. So the submission received by the committee for the inquiry in October, there was still the idea that if information was provided, if evidence and analysis was forthcoming, that council may have been in a position or willing to give it consideration, but then come November, it was the unanimous decision of council to object to the proposal. So that is on the basis of what you perceive to be a comprehensive lack of engagement and fulsome consultation with both the council and the community more broadly.
The council's unanimous objection occurred in February of this year, but by November we were clearly stating that the urgency around this, that we needed to hear from the state government, and myself and the deputy mayor and the general manager have made trips to Macquarie Street to visit the Minister for Environment and Energy. We've asked.
I believe in the media she said that she's been in constant contact with you, although
the last time I actually spoke to Minister Sharp was on the 6th of August. Okay, I've heard those things said, but that was the last time I met with her and last time I physically spoke with her. We've had 2 letters since. Okay, so obviously, there's no getting around how we feel that there is a political agenda here, that it's simply as a facility is not wanted in Sydney. So we really do have a battle ahead of us as a small shire with 8,000 people, with an independent state representative. It's we understand that political reality. We just need the people of Sydney to understand the environmental tragedy that could occur, and our absolute inability to control any sort of, whether it's a bad event or just the overall how people perceive our beautiful shire from that moment on. We've never got any answers. So it's been a tough time. It's been a tough time for us as councillors, but that's okay. We signed up for that. That comes with the job. But it's been tougher for the community, and that's why we're here today, and so thankful that you've made the decision to come and see us.
Right. Thank you. I think Mr. Banasiak, you have a question?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Obviously, in your opening statement, you talked about the amount of waste that's coming, and we know with this technology it just doesn't vanish into nothing. There are byproducts. There's the fly ash and there's the bottom ash. What understanding have you been given about how those byproducts will be dealt with once it's burnt? Is Parks meant to cop the byproduct as well as the rubbish being shipped?
I did ask that question in a presentation that we were given by the proponents, and there's nothing definitive about where that fly ash would go, only a possibility of it being used in road base. But they even said we don't know. So we have no guarantee of where that will end up.
Okay.
I've got to say it actually represents 20% of, you're talking 730,000 tonnes, so you're talking upwards of 150,000 tonnes that would need to be annually to be dealt with.
Yeah, and given, most government contracts will only allow 20% of this material in their aggregate, their road base, that's a lot of material that has to be dispersed elsewhere.
And look, I think, a pragmatic brain would say, if this is safe, then we can work around those figures. It's whether it's safe. And we just want, all we've ever asked was for whether it's the Minister for Environment or whether it's the Premier or whoever it may be, to come and say, this is absolutely safe because 1, 2, 3, 4. And they've never been able to do that.
And have either of your shires been given any modelling or technical information around dispersion? I don't know, this area is renowned for sort of prevailing westerly winds, and potentially this could spread dioxins, or potentially, out to Orange, potentially if the winds were right. Have you been given any technical information about dispersion risk or anything?
Not that I'm aware of. And if any of that technical information is presented to the proponents or to the state, it always comes back as, but this will be new technology. So we can't use that as a base to compare this to. But as I said in my statement, new technology still has to be tested, so I can't see how they can guarantee it will be safe. Parks will be the testing ground for this facility, and I don't think that's fair.
And Mr. Richards, have you given any consideration to the environmental impact in terms of the river systems? I know you mentioned that in your opening statement, like Goobang Creek, Lachlan River, has there been any assessment from your end?
No, so we've asked the state government and the proponent to explain how this is going to be affected, and it has been radio silence. So no information. We had a council resolution last year that looked at should we go and get our own research. It was very, very costly, and at that stage it was still not at that point where we had enough certainty to go out and just do it by ourselves. And based on what? We still don't know what technology is actually going to be proposed. If you look at the website of the proponents, you will see they make reference to a reference plant actually in Dublin, Ireland, that could be similar, but whether it is actually the same technology or not is not clear. And so all the values of pollutants that are listed there may or may not be applicable to this proposal. So we have then refrained, and our officers recommended to council not to proceed that because we were not even sure what we were going to analyze and peer review because there was not enough information out there. We've written to the state government, and they have always basically just referred back to the proponent. There was no correspondence from the state government with any information coming back to our shire.
And when was the last time you got such a response from the state government around these environmental concerns?
I think perhaps the last time there was a letter drop, which came around. And I'd just follow up on your previous question there around technical information. Part of the confusion for everyone is that where does the truth sit? And Minister Dibb, on behalf of Minister Sharp, stood on the floor of Parliament and explained in answer to a question to Phil Donato that it would be the equivalent of a semi-trailer going up the bypass. And even in their letter drop, they did and the proponent has done it as well. They included these technical boxes that compared wood heaters, semi-trailers, and waste-to-energy plants, and they were all in metre cubed of air. That was their mathematical comparison. Of course, that means nothing. There's no way that a semi-trailer is going to pump out the amount of air, cubic metres of air in any given time that a waste-to-energy plant. And I've actually brought that up. I've brought that up with the proponent themselves and asked them, please give us plain English comparative things that we can understand. Give me how many dioxins per hour come from a semi-trailer going up the bypass compared to a waste-to-energy plant. Now, I could go and Google it and work it out from there, but nobody, even when I made special phone calls to ask those questions, I never ever got the answer. And poor Mr. Dibb, he's gone and answered that in good faith, looking at that, but it doesn't actually mean anything. So that's part of the confusion.
Has the proponent or the state government addressed the concerns around the accumulation of these dioxins? A lot of these dioxins, in the first instance at a low level, aren't probably noticeable, but it's the accumulation, in the human endocrine system where these things cause a problem. Has either of them addressed those concerns from the community?
Not that I'm aware of, and that's the biggest concern, is the cumulative effect of the dioxins and the PFAS, and thinking about our children that live in the community now. They're the ones that will bear the burden of this facility, and they have absolutely no say in it. So we need to speak up now and to protect them from anything further, because once it's built, it won't be going away. And even if they say 40 years, is it 40 years? Will they build another one? We don't know. Yeah.
Thank you.
And I said, Mr. Go to Mr. Roberts.
Thanks, Chair. Just to follow on from my colleague's question about the use of the waste material, the ash, and we talked about road base. We've heard from different sources that the proponent wants to use or disperse of the remnants via road base. Can you just confirm then, Councillor Westcott, that there is no agreement in place between Park Shire Council and the proponent for you to accept any of that ash to be used in road base?
I can absolutely confirm that.
Fine, thank you. Now, to you, Councillor Patterson, because you raised it in your opening statement about a survey that was conducted.
Yes.
So, and I think you said, I tried to jot it down quickly, 6,000.
There were 6,500 people that responded.
Right, can I just stop you there then?
Yeah.
So how many in your shire? 8,000?
Yes.
Is it? And you've got 6,500 replies,
Yeah.
fairly good
Yes.
replies on a survey
Yes.
from my
Yes.
knowledge of life.
Yes.
What was the result of the survey again?
70%.
So the 6,500 people
Yeah, yeah.
signed the
Yep.
petition
Yes.
to say no. There was 70%. Phil Donato, MP,
Yeah.
our local member, he did his own independent survey of the residents, and 70% of those respondents
Said no.
said no.
And you had 6,000 of your 8,000 said no as well.
Two surveys.
Oh, well, apparently he did 2 surveys. Oh, yes, he did a phone call one as well.
Okay.
Yeah, as well as a paper.
So it's quite obvious from what you're telling us here that the overwhelming view of the community is that they don't want it. And as elected representatives of the community, and that's what you are taking your role seriously and voicing what the community opinion is.
Exactly. That's exactly why I'm here. The community has spoken. Since this project was announced, my position has been clear in opposing this facility. I've listened to the community. I brought all their concerns to the council, and that's why we're here today, to represent the community and their wishes. And as I said in my statement, when does no not mean no? When the majority, thousands of people have said no, the majority of our community don't want it. They don't want it. Yeah.
Fine. And just back to you, Councillor Westcott, you said that you, and I'm assuming you on behalf of the council, wrote to the community some time ago saying, look, and these are my words, so I don't want to put words in your mouth, so you can correct me if I'm wrong, but basically this was my grasp of what you're saying, was you took a pragmatic approach, saying, look, that this could be good for the town because there is some big dollars suggested that could be injected here. However, as a council, we want to balance that up with the negatives to our community that could come from this. So council at that stage had a very open, as I say, pragmatic approach, but as a result of not being told any information at all, or very minimal information in relation to the health potential or the negative health potential to your community, that the council formed a particular opinion.
Pragmatic to the point, even back then there was still no compromise in regards to health, whether it be human, environmental, and especially for, not especially, but for agriculture as well. So it was just a time when, as I'm a reasonably fresh mayor. I think I'm on the P plates now, but it's about learning as you go, and I felt at the time it was worth considering. And but due diligence past 6 to 8 months is more than enough time, and we certainly I expected there to be more from state government. I expected them to be here, and they never have. And And we've asked. You can go to the Parks Council website and read every letter that I've written. There's dozens of them requesting information, requesting their presence, and my comment about feeling like a second-class citizen is real. I made plenty of trips to Sydney. There was nothing coming back this way for the community to ask. We had one town hall session organised by the community, but really on that night there should have been some government representatives here, and they weren't. So.
Thank you, Councillor. Mr Primrose?
Yeah, given that we're getting closer to the end of the session, I was wondering to all three witnesses, is there an answer to a question we haven't asked yet that you may have that you were hoping we'd ask? Basically, is there anything really important you'd like to put on the record?
I just finished. My final comment would be, we have our federal representative, Jamie Chaffey, against this proposal. We have our state representative, Phil Donato, against this proposal. We have Park Shire Council unanimously stood against this proposal. We have the traditional owners standing against this proposal. Perhaps this parliamentary committee may even stand against this proposal. So, if, with this weight of opposition, what happens if the Independent Planning Commission does as they have done with transport and renewable energy and other major state infrastructure projects, said it's in the state's best interest for this to go ahead? What does that leave us?
Councillor Patterson?
Well, mine would be regarding the transport, the 580 kilometres. People seem to think that what's the problem if it's by rail? But I'd just like to quote from submission number 362 from the Waste Contractors and Recyclers Association of New South Wales. So this is their quote. According to the Centre for International Economics Modelling, limiting energy from waste development to 4 regional precincts results in up to $25 million per year in unnecessary transport costs, over $2 billion in lost private investment, and increased greenhouse gas emissions due to inefficient waste flows. A reformed, evidence-based policy would better align with New South Wales' net zero plan and circular economy strategy, while protecting environmental and community outcomes.
Thank you. Chair, can I just ask Mr Rogers
certainly.
the same question, please?
Yes, thank you for the question. Just reiterating the points that are there, probably one last point to make as well is that we do see these decisions being made in the metropolitan area for the region without much involvement from the region. So a lot of the public servants rarely venture past the Great Dividing Range, and we've invited a number of them, even unrelated to this matter, to just come and see for themselves what it actually is to be based in the region and the challenges that are here. And just getting here to this day, and I might just a quick reference to the highway currently being closed at Mount Victoria and what effect it already has on the economy and basically being left behind. And that certainly it has been the same point. So there have been initiatives from in the planning space and in numerous others, even in the waste space with food organics and green organics and mandates that have not taken into consideration what the actual requirements and challenges are in the region. And yet again, that means we basically all feel like second-rate citizens because of all these challenges. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Primrose. And unfortunately, there are many other questions that I know that we would all like to put, for myself around economic benefits. Mr Ruches, you've talked about the tourism aspects as well. The report from the chief scientist, which of course now is many years since that was done. We're probably going to have to provide those to you as supplementary questions.
We'd welcome
because there are many more things that we would like to clarify with you and hear from you on. Certainly from my perspective as chair, and I know as the committee members, we do hear you. We hear the community that they are feeling left behind and left out of this process. Social licence is paramount, and that's why we're here with you today in order to hear from you directly. So thank you all for your time. We do appreciate that. There will be more. We didn't take anything on notice, I don't believe, but I certainly will be providing supplementary questions to you as well. So thank you all for your evidence and your appearance today, and the Secretariat will be in touch in that regard.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
everybody.
Ta.
Yeah.
I'm ready to go? Okay, good. Right. Witnesses, you're both ready to proceed? Thank you. Thank you to you both for joining us today and making the time to give evidence. Could each of you please, starting from my left, state your name, position, title and swear either an oath or affirmation?
I'm Jeremy Fitzpatrick. I'm Vice President of PCFA. I swear that the evidence now about to be given by me shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God.
I'm Jacob Unger, a committee member of the PCFA. I swear that the evidence now about to be given by me shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God.
Thank you. Do either of you have a short opening statement?
Yes, I do. I'm Jacob Unger. Alongside me is Jeremy Fitzpatrick, the committee members of the Parks Clean Future Alliance, also referred to as the PCFA, and have lived in the Parks Shire for over 30 years. We've been involved in the PCFA since its inception in March 2025. A committee formed by like-minded community members, designed as a conduit for Shire residents, with the main goal of holding the proponents and governments to account for minimal information and greenwashing of energy from waste, especially for the proposed project at Parks. The working committee of 17 consists of professionals from a broad range of areas, including, but not limited to, farming and agriculture, teaching, health, engineering and large-scale electrical system management. I, along with many others in our Shire, have spent countless hours researching, discussing and weighing up the potential benefits and drawbacks of energy from waste, especially the open-moving grate type proposed in the Special Activation Precinct on the western side of Parks. Between the contradictory statements of using brand new state-of-the-art technology and tried and tested proven methods of energy from waste, the story has continually changed when questioned by the public. What shines through the most is the clear lack of consideration of adequate consultation, a disregard for respecting rural voices, attempts of greenwashing by proponents and government agencies, and poor planning by successive governments to curb excess waste production and disposal, leading to a forced need to burn the rubbish instead of it not existing in the first place. The onus is placed on the consumer to sort and manage their waste when little to no choice is given to minimise waste in the interim. Parks Clean Future Alliance, in conjunction with other working groups, have provided online and in-person support to the wider community with a full-time Facebook page, workshops, an Energy from Waste information night held in July 2025, Indigenous Solidarity and Farming Community Marches, an inquiry information night, a stand at the park show utilising members as volunteers for community outreach and providing open dialogue and discussion, as well as signs, shirts and stickers. We would like to thank the people of our Shire for allowing Parks Clean Future Alliance to represent them, their lives, their livelihoods and the next generations to succeed us. I also want to extend a personal thanks to Parks, Peakhill, Trundle, Tullamore, Bogangate, Alec-Town and Cookamirja residents for supporting the team for the last 12 months.
Thank you. I'll start with some questions then, and from that, Mr Unger, you suggested that the group, so the Parks Clean Future Alliance, officially came together from March 2025.
Yep.
So that was in response to the confirmation of the proponents for the proposed facility?
Yes, correct. So a Facebook post was made by Park Shire Council that confirmed the Tribe Consortium as the proponents. In a survey that we conducted, nearly 80% of people who completed that survey did not know about that prior to that announcement.
How many people were part of that survey?
Survey included just shy of 700 people.
Okay. And so that was the instigation for the formalisation of the group. So prior to that, there had been essentially loose groupings, people who were concerned about hearing differing stories, differing information, but nothing that was sort of more cemented at that point in time.
Correct. The Facebook post was the catalyst for the conversation to begin. From that, there were people that contacted me personally. I contacted other people, and within less than a week, we had formed.
So, in other words, so what you're suggesting, it's very much a situation of having been organic and grown from the community. Would you suggest that it has become a more professional basis to it as you've moved on? Have other organisations, individuals, experts become part of that as you've continued to develop your positions?
Yes, that's right. Yes, it has grown considerably. There's over 3,000 members on the Facebook page for the Parks Clean Future Alliance. It has been very natural progression from a small grassroots effort to a very professional system.
Okay. Now, speaking of your Facebook page, recently your group did have a social media post stating that an energy from waste facility in Parks would cost the New South Wales community more than $60 million per year compared to a facility in Sydney. So is that a verified figure?
That came from a submission by the Waste Contractors Association, I think their name was.
Is that from our last hearing in that case?
From this current hearing.
Yes.
And there's also been online articles from them that is based around diesel usage, freight movements, and that would be on a prior figure, as we've seen this enormous price rise since that stuff was factored in. So I could confidently say it would be considerably more than that now.
Okay. And we've had questions previously to the council on bottom ash, fly ash. You would have heard the questions that were just raised. What's your view and your position on those particular aspects of the byproducts of what's proposed here?
I'll take this one, Jacob. The fact of the matter with these items and byproducts is that there's not enough known about them. There's been no education or anything the proponents, from the government as to actually what these contain. We've got the standard run-of-the-mill reply from the proponents saying that it's done all over the world and it's not going to be any different here. But when we actually go and ask actual scientific questions, or we want to know compositions or proper details, we don't get them. It just goes quiet, goes blank, and you get fobbed off. I have done a hell of a lot of research myself. There's also a process. So once the ash comes out of the incinerator, there needs to be a weathering process where these materials are stored on site essentially, and they have to be monitored closely until they come down to a safe level of toxicity so they can be then transferred on or used. And none of this has been said to anyone. I've had to find that online myself, that information.
So coming to that point about doing your own research, finding out the information from a personal perspective, there has been some suggestion even by comments on the Alliance's page that this is viewed from the government's perspective, not this inquiry's perspective, as something of a tick and flick exercise. Is that a serious concern among those that you're dealing with and discussing this with?
Yeah, most definitely. It's it just seems to be that, you know, any boxes that the proponents have to tick, they will tick, and that will be by way of opening a shop front in town for consultation or people to drop in. Yet anyone that's actually ever tried to go there, very, very limited opening times, and you're doing well to actually get into appointment. But on paper, they've got the address, they've got the shop front there, they're classing it as consultation.
Okay. I'll have one more just before I hand on to my colleagues. So again, coming back to what you see as the lack of information, the lack of evidence being provided. I just referenced it again with the council representatives, that the original report from the chief scientist underpinning the New South Wales energy from waste policy was done in 2020, and in the time since there's only been limited supplementary advice, noting that the report itself stated that it should be reviewed within 3 years. Do you have a view on the chief scientist's report as it stands and what may be necessary in that regard?
Our belief that the chief scientist's report may have also been changed at some point. There were references that we had found that don't seem to be there anymore. And it was independently verified by Ali Abbas, which in itself could be a possible conflict of interest due to the fact that he does actually support energy from waste, and is also part of the Australian Arab Committee in terms of relations between the two countries. So there could be a possible conflict of interest within that. But yeah, I think.
I'd also like to add that in that chief scientist report, it does state towards the finish, I would have to take it on notice if you want the exact page. I think it's 32. The chief scientist states that these types of facilities would be best not located in agricultural areas.
Yes, so I actually have that reference. It does state that.
And that reference, so Ali Abbas independently reviewed the chief scientist's report, and that reference was left out of his review.
Okay. Mr. Bonacier?
Yeah, thank you. Just picking up on the chair's question around the concept of like a tit and flick exercise being done in assessing this project. I note in your submission you talk about changes to the planning laws, and that raises more concerns in terms of, I guess, exacerbating this tit and flick exercise. Can you talk more to us about that, your concerns around how the planning system has failed and a lack of trust in the system, particularly EPA?
Well, firstly, the EPA, or not the EPA, the New South Wales government listed the Park Special Activation Precinct as a possible site for an EFW plant At that point in time, the permissibility from the EPA did not state that would be okay to have in the Park Special Activation Precinct. It seems that this project has been a step ahead of any planning laws right the way through, even at this point. I would note that in the New South Wales Parliament's Protection of the Environment Operations Act 1997, the waste hierarchy was conceived, incineration being the final, well, not incineration, recovery being the final tier behind recycling, etc. 33 metropolitan councils in Sydney, 9 of them only have a form of FOGO and recycling. The rest don't. It's just standard red bin waste. This Act was amended in, it's in my notes. This Act was amended in 25. It states that any council without a FOGO stream is not permitted to send waste to incineration. So at this present time, 9 councils would legally be able to use this as a form of waste management. 1997, that Act and the waste hierarchy was conceived. 29 years later to now, we're still not following this hierarchy correctly. So I don't see why there's such a rush now when government's had 29 years to solve this and we're going to try and rush it through by 2030.
And because the government hasn't been able to solve it in 29 years, does that add to the lack of mistrust in them being able to run a proper process?
Yeah, 100%.
And do we just go to the agricultural impact side of things? In your submission, you talked about this area being synonymous with grain and cropping. Can you talk to us about your concerns around the potential impact there? And I know you talked about this idea that it might come from one farm, but then collectively the whole region, you know, has a loss of reputation because of that one contamination point.
Yes, that's correct. So with our, especially with animals, our NLIS data and tags, for EU market access, they're now calling for geolocation and geo-tracking of livestock. And this is only an if at this point in time because we haven't been given any information about what could happen. So it's a speculation, but it's very real that in the future, if any livestock are found to have contaminants in them that are from or could be from this plant, a geolocation will show up. Any surrounding properties around an EFW incinerator, be it 10 kilometre radius, 150 kilometre radius, they could be excluded from market access, and that would be severely damaging to the parks community and wider community. And also if these animals and grains are affected, it's going to affect communities that are buying this produce and have bought this produce before these have been identified, these risks.
And is it sorry?
No, a question was asked by Jeremy to the proponents around the risk associated with, with the particulates and emissions from it. He asked whether a guarantee could be made around whether it would affect your national vendor declaration. That was answered as being unreasonable. It's an unreasonable expectation to have. It also comes to the point of if you see a market shift, which I don't see happening anytime soon, but if there were more people wanted to go down the organic line, it would completely decimate any chance of organics being permissible. The testing systems that are used would pick those emissions up straight away and would just class it as unviable, unfit for human consumption.
And
that question was asked at the drop-in day in April last year, organised by PER here in Cook Park. And yeah, the response from one of the head engineers was that's an unreasonable request for us to give.
Can I just jump in on that? Sorry, Mr. Manasiak. Has there been any attempt to put that forward in a formal way, that suggestion, that type of question as well?
Not that exact question, no, not by me anyway. But those concerns are legitimate by a lot of people outside of PCFA. Peak Farming Groups, New South Wales Farmers Association has been onto it as well. It's not just us locally that has that concern.
And the proponents said it was unreasonable, but is it Clean Future Alliance's view that it's the bare minimum that you would expect?
Well, as I'm a farmer myself, and any produce sold, I have to personally guarantee that it's toxin, it's pollutant free. I have to sign national vendor declarations, quality assurance programs. I personally have to agree to them. I have to keep records of any chemical or anything used, when it was used, the rate, the batch number even. These guys seem to be able to throw stuff up into the air, and it's unreasonable to question what's coming out of it.
Well, they're asking you to accept
They're asking
the liability and the risk for something that they're producing.
That's right. The risk ends up coming back onto us, and we can by no means guarantee or assure what's possibly going to be in our stock or our produce, because we simply don't know, because they don't know. They can't give us an answer.
Mr. Roberts?
Yeah, thank you, gentlemen. Thanks for your attendance today. Just my only question revolves around part of your submission under the titling of lack of faith in independent studies and reports. And you indicate that as a group that you're looking at funding, self-funding, and getting funding to get independent scientists of your own to do comprehensive studies. Can you talk to us a bit more about that? How far have you progressed, and really why are you doing that?
Well, being a grassroots organisation, and we are 100% community funded and also funded by members, one big thing that we would like to do in the future, and have worked towards it and are currently working towards it, is independent soil testing, so we can get a baseline for where we currently sit if this project is to go ahead, because as of now there's been no mention by anyone. Council hasn't seemed to want to take it on board, neither has the EPA. We're just meant to, I don't know, we're just meant to trust that things will be looked after correctly going forward. That's not acceptable in our view.
Yeah.
Jacob, anything?
Yeah, so more to that, I suppose, is the direct information that we had, especially around wind movement, was that wind predominantly comes from the northeast. That's very incorrect. Majority of wind comes from the northwest and the west. So you situate a plant that's going to emit particulates on the western side of a town, where's most of that going to end up? It's going to end up in the town. That's what will happen. So the thought process with doing our own independent testing is we have our own baseline that can then be compared directly to if the proponents, that's a big if they do their own testing, we can then compare those results and say, yes, that seems within our range. And we also have a weather station at the moment currently out at the SAP that is collecting data all the time about wind movements and all that sort of stuff.
That's put there by the proponents. Yes?
That was put there by us, the PCFA.
Yeah, we have our own independent station that's being community funded.
Right.
We also would like to note that in the earlier SAP framework and all the planning around the SAP, the studies, the initial weather studies that were made, I think in 2020, were actually taken at the Bathurst Airport, which is a completely different climate to here.
Very interesting.
Very good. That's it.
Mr. Primrose, do you have?
Just my standard question. Before we continue asking questions, I was wondering if there are any particular matters that we haven't asked you about yet that you want to make comment on, please.
My biggest one throughout this all has been one line that I read was bringing brains back to the bush. And I mean, I could say that it could be derogatory, something like that. I mean, I wouldn't claim to be the smartest person in the room all the time, but there are plenty of people who know how to research, they know how to read, they know how to comprehend data. And when it comes down to it, I think it's a bit unfair to say that. And I think sometimes there are thoughts around the fact that people in the country, you know, whether we are as educated or as intelligent as people in the city, we shouldn't be treated like that. I think there's still that unfairness within the system. And when we talk about bringing brains to the bush, like I say, there are people here who can do that. We can understand that and put our 2 cents in, and I think that's fair. The consultation has been lacklustre at best. A 3-day drop-in session that had 275 people attend. We had an information night in July 2025, and we had over 500 people in this room. There's only about 50 people in here right now, so you can imagine how full it was. That was well attended, considering it was on a Saturday night. Consultation has been one of the bigger things as well, that it just hasn't been there. Getting updates on Facebook and stuff like that's just not good enough. Regardless of whether we use... Facebook is used quite heavily for news and information sharing. Another point probably I would make to summarise would be the use of the word misinformation. It's very easy to derail someone's conversation or their point by saying, oh, that's misinformation. But when you consistently use that word without actually backing up what you're trying to say is misinformation, it leads to a muddied conversation that just never gets anywhere.
And just forwarding on from what Jacob's just said then, it's affected, well, this project has affected the whole social cohesion of our community. We're a small community. We see each other every day. You might work with someone, then you'll see them later on at touch footy or soccer, or you see them at the weekend with your kids. And then for these guys to come in, throw all this information to us, some people may believe it, some don't, some have different opinions. It's really throwing the cat amongst the pigeons, so to speak, because we have all these differing opinions. No one can get any solid facts from a trusted source, be it council, be it government, be it the proponent. It leaves the whole town on edge, pitting people against people. The proponent has also tried to deflect any questions or anything else with statements like, well, did you drive a car here today for this session? Is your tractor diesel? These are being compared to what's going to be coming out of this plant, and it's just an unfair comparison. It's simply not true. It's not comparing apples with apples. We need genuine facts, genuine figures that people of all levels can understand. The last parliamentary inquiry that was held on this same topic, none of the findings or recommendations seem to have been followed or extended on. Penny Sharp, who is now the Minister for Climate Change, Energy, Heritage and Environment, which I think is actually a conflict in itself, she sat on the board. She even had videos of her that are still available on YouTube saying that there will never be a EFW plant while ever she's around, basically. While ever she's got breath, this will not happen. Now, in her ministerialship, she thinks this is okay. We've sent emails, countless emails to her with no response, no reply. It makes us wonder why this was not okay in Sydney. It was deemed unsafe by New South Wales Health, amongst others. It's sent out here. Now it's fine. The response is, well, it's got to go somewhere. It doesn't have to go somewhere. The only reason it has to happen now is because of past mismanagement. I don't know why the onus is put on us out here to deal with their burden from Sydney.
On notice, are you able to provide copies of that correspondence that you've tried to make to the Environment Minister or even the proponent and received poor responses or no responses?
I believe the committee would be able to, yes.
Thank you.
That's fine, thank you.
Mr Roberts?
Chair, if I can just make a statement. Mr Unger, to your point, and also more so for the people that are in attendance in the room here today, I can categorically state that this committee itself doesn't have that attitude of brains to the bush. And if I could just support that by saying that I myself live in Goulburn, the chair lives in Queanbeyan, Dr Con lives in Albury, and Emily Saval, who's unfortunately unable to be with us today, lives in Cessnock. So this committee itself is representative of New South Wales as a whole. Although we work in Macquarie Street, we, the four of us, all live in the bush as well and consider ourselves the same as anybody else, no smarter or better than anybody else. So I want you and the rest of the room to know that 4 members of this committee alone are from the bush.
And to back Mr Roberts there, certainly one of the primary reasons why we wanted to bring forward this inquiry to begin with. But because we still have some time, I'd like to come to that point of consultation, lack of consultation and engagement. And the government and the minister is most certainly suggesting publicly, and it is available to be seen, that it's the proponent's responsibility to engage and consult. But what you're suggesting is that you have attempted to engage with the proponents and that still hasn't led to anything when it comes to more concrete detail that you have requested and are seeking.
Yeah, correct. We did, Jeremy and I both actually phoned into the radio network at the time. Ed Nicholas was on there talking with the host, and we both answered both asked questions that we feel were not answered at all. Going back to what Councillor Neil Westcott stated before, talking about metrics, what metrics we use to actually figure out how much emissions come out. They say so much per cubic metre. I asked the question of how many cubic metres of air move through the plant. That was the simplest way I could put it. Ed Nicholas said it is actually nothing that we need to worry about right now.
So what of the suggestion from the proponents that now that the state significant development has been declared, and again, I'll point out that the minister had said that this is a hypothetical project, but the fact that it is progressing suggests that it's more than hypothetical, but the proponents are now stating that they're going to be conducting all of the necessary data and analysis and agricultural assessment, etc. They did point out the weather station to me, but certainly didn't indicate that it was put up by the Alliance.
Yeah.
But should they start providing this information and the evidence that you are seeking, does that have the potential to change any of your position? I mean, obviously you've said that you're collecting your own data, you're willing to have that compared to what they collect. If they attempt to engage now, does that change anything, or has the horse already bolted?
I've said from the start, if it could be proven safe, that, you know, if they can show us the data and actually prove to us that there is going to be no risk whatsoever to human health, agriculture, river system health, all those environmental factors, they can prove that categorically, that there shouldn't be any reason why it shouldn't be here. There are people within the PCFA who believe the same thing. If they can prove it, then there shouldn't be any issue. The trouble is the use of greenwashing, which we have seen quite considerably throughout it, has just been the use of the word safe, the use of the word proven technologies, all these things, they add up to a way of diverting from actually providing the information so people can look at it and go, this is, you know, we can prove that it's safe because here's the information, here it is. We've had to find our own reports from other countries on dioxin data and all those things that haven't been provided. If that could be provided from the start by the proponents to prove themselves, then there wouldn't be any issue.
We've been told that these plants operate in downtown Paris, for example. They're in Japan. There's a countless amount in Japan. I would add that these countries have different waste streams to Australia. Some, I don't know the correct term, but I'm going to use councils. So some councils in Japan have up to 9 different waste streams for their household waste, with the final being incineration. I'd like to note too that Ed Nicholas has said that he's undertaken considerable consultation within the community. He said that farmers he's tried to consult with and they've refused to consult with him about this. I speak to a lot of people, have spoken to a lot of people. I don't know any farmer that's been asked to meet or to consult with Parks Energy Recovery. They've also said that they've consulted with Aboriginal groups. The groups around that I'm aware of, the PCFA is aware of, are all in opposition to this and
Yes,
haven't,
appearing later today.
and haven't had any consultation, to my knowledge, that they've stated. And yeah, as Jacob said before, the quotes of misinformation, anything that we research that's just been palmed off as misinformation. A lot of the timings as well for their consultation, it's during the week. It's 9 to 5 hours. That excludes a lot of the population as they work. I say this with all respect, but it tends to target more vulnerable members of the community, the elderly, the retired, who are less able to carry out their own research and tend to believe what they're told by these appeared trusted people, and it gives them a false understanding of what's actually happening. They're told this is safe, they're told, it's nice and shiny and new and it's going to turn your rubbish into energy, and yes, it sounds good, but underneath all that is the facts that they're not being presented, and I think they're being unfairly targeted as well.
Okay. So one thing that I will point out on that point that you've just made, Mr Fitzpatrick, is yes, I think there was a couple of comments on social media about this committee coming and holding this public hearing on a work day. We were very mindful of the fact that it would be difficult for people to potentially attend due to their workplace commitments. However, we also have parliamentary staff and Hansard staff here who are part of that as well. So that's the element of our timing, and that's why, of course, it's being live streamed so that people do have that availability. And again, our suggestion box there as well for anyone who isn't able to be here or be here as part of the public forum to still have their voices heard. So coming back then to some of that information that you just raised, I guess one of the most important points and the underlying question, and again, one of the primary drivers for the instigation of this inquiry to begin with, of why is it okay for Parks but not for Sydney? So you mentioned in your submission the geographic double standards. Do you want to offer any further comments in relation to the geographic double standards?
In terms of actually getting the waste here is probably one of the bigger ones. Most governments are aiming for net zero. That's a continued push. The use of diesel to actually get the waste out here and then to burn it anyway. I mean, you basically, it's a double-edged sword. You're using fuel that is going to produce carbon dioxide. You're then burning a fuel that is going to produce carbon dioxide plus countless other chemicals that we may not even know exist yet. Plastics can be made up of over 16,000 different chemicals. I'm no chemical engineer, but that's what I've read, that's what I've verified. We're dealing with something that we just don't know what is involved, what happens. So the terms of, getting it out here, the consideration of moving away from a large area with a lot of people and having that effect then pushed onto a smaller region with less people, what makes one person different from any other person within this state, country, it doesn't matter. It doesn't make any difference. So I think that lack of thought process or forethought process of what we do with the waste in the first place, that's where we need to think more about that. Try and minimise it from the get-go. You don't attack it at the end. You try and deal with it at the start to try and minimise that.
A lot of the reason why people choose to live in the country also is to have clean air, to have what's deemed as a safe space to raise children, etc. This project is effectively taking that away from us. We already forego a lot of services and just, you know, social activities, whatnot, that I guess city people just take for granted as a luxury. You know, we don't have that. Even our health services, etc., aren't up to standard compared to the cities. In our survey that PCFA conducted, the question was, if you would consider leaving parks due to the energy from waste facility, what field or industry do you currently work in? 77 respondents that said they would leave work in health and aged care, and if 77 people in that profession were to leave, that's our whole health service gone. So I don't know where that's going to leave the town if that does go ahead. Like we've been told of all the benefits that this will bring to the town, but we haven't actually been told what these benefits are. There's just going to be benefits, but we don't know what they are. And as of current, all we can see is negatives.
I mean, just on that though, it wouldn't just be those 77 people, would it? It would be their partners who would leave from another industry. It would be their kids who would leave from those schools, and then you would have this
exactly right.
you would have this circle of or spiral of decline where you would start to lose teachers.
Yeah, there was 80 in education would leave, 45 in government public service, 39 construction trades. You know, that's our town gone, basically.
Yeah.
Just one final very quick one then, and again following on from that and what you just raised there, Mr Fitzpatrick, yes, a lot is being made of the economic benefits, the suggestion that the project is a $1.5, $1.6 billion investment into this community, but what you're suggesting is that from the community's perspective, you're not actually hearing about what those benefits are going to be. Once the facility is up and constructed, I believe that there's going to be around 50 jobs is what the proponent's saying. That is not a great deal of economic benefit for the long term. Are you hearing of anything else that is being advocated when it comes to these apparent economic benefits?
Well, the $1.5 billion investment into the community, that's not actually into the community, because when this plant's built, they're not going to go to Power Tools Plus in town here and buy their nuts and bolts. You know, yes, the capital investment is here, but it's not coming from here. And the money that's going to be made is going to be shipped overseas. It's not even a local project. 50 jobs, there's over 100 jobs on seek for the local community weekly. These 50 jobs, I've personally asked Mr Nicholas what these jobs would entail. You know, are they going to be local jobs? Are people here going to be able to do them? He said, oh no, there'll be engineering jobs for plant shut down. They're not jobs essentially that local people are skilled or equipped to do, because we don't have these types of things here. It's been promoted as such a great thing for the town, but when you actually break it down and look into what's going to happen, there's not actually that many benefits for the town. Like these 50 jobs that they claim to take, you walk up the street, any business, you could nearly guarantee you could walk in there and walk out with a job. That's going to take away from already struggling businesses to find employees and find workers. Like you go to Woolworths and there'll be one checkout open, sometimes no checkout open, and they'll say, "Oh, sorry, we're short staffed. We don't have enough people here to run it." So you want to take another 50 people out of our workforce. If the workers come from here, like they claim, then where does that leave us? We don't have the workers as it is, and you know there's jobs here. There's people in the city want jobs. There's jobs here for the taking. They don't seem to come and take them. So I don't see how this project is going to bring more people here when we struggle for people as it is.
Valid point.
Yeah. So there was also talk of a levy, hosting levy, to do with how much waste comes here.
Yes.
That number has since changed. I mean, where do you draw the line? Do you ask for $50 a tonne? Do you ask for $100 a tonne? Landfill costs are expensive. They are very expensive. If you're competitive against that, then you can sort of basically ask for what you want within reason. Do we see the trickle-down effects of that? Do we see lower rates? Do we see cheaper water? What benefits do Parkshire residents see? We don't know. Don't know what benefits we will see from that. We haven't been told what benefits that, and apart from that money coming across to Parkshire Council, I don't know what other benefits there would be.
Okay, thank you both. We are out of time. Again, there will be further questions, certainly from myself, that we'll put forward as supplementary questions to you. I think we did take something on notice there as well. So thank you both for your time and evidence today. And the Secretariat will be in contact in relation to that question on notice and further supplementary questions as well. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to now have a 15-minute break for morning tea. For joining us. We'll get underway once again, and I'll begin by welcoming each of you as witnesses and thank you for making the time to give evidence today. Could I ask each witness, starting from my left, to please state your name, position, title and swear either an oath or an affirmation?
Good evening. Good morning. I'm Heather Green from New South Wales Farmers Branch, Peak Hill. I swear that the evidence now about to be given by me shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God.
Yeah, good morning. I'm Brendan Westcott. I'm here representing the Peak Hill branch of New South Wales Farmers as Vice President. I'll swear the oath. I swear that the evidence now about to be given by me shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God.
Thank you.
My name is Julie McCauley. I'm President of the Parks Country Women's Association. I swear that the evidence now about to be given by me shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God.
Hi, my name is Lisa Bickett. I'm a member of Parks CWA. I swear that the evidence now about to be given by me shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God.
Good morning, my name is Glenn Westcott. I'm the principal at Parks Christian School. I swear that the evidence now about to be given by me shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God.
Okay, thank you. Now, because we do have 5 of you here and mindful of the time that we have 45 minutes to spend with you this morning and want to maximise that time in terms of questions that we can put to you, I'll ask if any of you have an opening statement, and if you do, that if we can keep it to that 2 minutes, please.
Yes, I do.
Ms. Green?
We'd like to thank you for the opportunity to speak before you today. My name is Heather Green and I appear today as a farmer and a president of Peak Hill branch of New South Wales Association and a concerned citizen. I am a mother of our next generation of farmers and a farmer's daughter. My family has farmed in the Peak Hill district, Park Shire, for 76 years and we're 4th generation. Thank you.
I'd like to also give one. I'm here to represent Peak Hill branch, New South Wales Farmers. 6th generation all farmer in the Alec-Town Peak Hill region. I farm beside my parents, my wife and my 3 kids. I'd like to thank you for having me to voice my concerns over the proposed incinerator. On the farm, we farm wheat, barley, canola, lamb and wool. We do so to the best of our ability and are always pushing the edge to improve it, being mindful that our breeding objective and business objective is to better our farm for the next generation, and sustainability being at the forefront of those decisions. Therefore hoping that my children have the same opportunity that I do, and so on. And thank you.
Thank you.
I also have an opening statement. Chair and committee members, thank you for the opportunity to speak today. My name is Julie McCauley and I'm representing the Parks branch of the Country Women's Association of New South Wales, along with Lisa Bickett. Our branch has been part of this community for over 100 years. We are local women and volunteers who live here, raise children here, grow food here, and support this community every day. We are here today to clearly state our opposition to the proposed energy from waste facility at Parks. We are not opposed to progress, but we are deeply concerned that this proposal places a significant burden on a regional community without clear evidence, and the risks to health, agriculture and environment are properly understood or acceptable. At its core, this issue comes down to one simple question: who carries the risk? From what we have seen, Parks is being asked to take on long-term environmental and health risks to deal with waste generated elsewhere, primarily from Sydney. Our concerns align directly with the terms of reference of this inquiry. Firstly, emissions and health impacts. While this proposal refers to newer technology, there remains real uncertainty about the long-term health effects of exposure to emissions and byproducts such as toxic ash. These facilities produce pollutants and residues that must go somewhere, and once released into air, soil or water, they do not respect boundaries. For a community like ours, where many rely on rainwater, local food production and clean environments, even small risks become significant. Secondly, the impact on agriculture. Park sits within a productive agriculture region. Our reputation depends on clean, safe, high-quality food. The presence of an incinerator, regardless of assurances, creates a real risk to that reputation. Once confidence in clean and green produce is lost, it's very difficult to restore that this market is a reality. Third, cumulative and long-term impacts. This proposal is not a short-term project. It will operate for decades. That means decades of waste, transport, emissions, ash disposal, and potential environmental exposure. These are impacts that will be carried not just by current residents, but by future generations. We also note alternatives must be part of this conversation. The terms of reference specifically ask whether there are better ways to reduce and manage waste. We believe this is critical. Solutions should focus on reducing waste at its source, not transporting and burning it in regional communities. Finally, we want to bring this back to the lived experience of women in regional New South Wales. The CWA of New South Wales annual Women's Survey shows that access to health, environmental safety and the well-being of families remains core concerns for women outside metropolitan areas. These decisions affect our daily life, health and the future of our communities. In closing, we ask committee to carefully consider whether this proposal truly serves the long-term interests of parks and regional New South Wales, because once this kind of infrastructure is built, the consequences are not easily undone. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Bickett, do you have anything to add?
No.
Mr. Westcott?
I do, thank you, yeah. I'd like to thank the committee for taking the time to travel to Parks for this hearing, and more specifically thank the committee for the opportunity to share our concerns and provide any clarification based on the submission of Parks Christian School. Apart from living and teaching in Sydney for 13 years, I've been at Parks local all my life and principal of Parks Christian School for the past 9 years. Having grown up in our family farm north of Parks, attended local public schools. As a student and now living and working in Parks, I'm confident that I have a deep understanding of the Parks community and concerns that they share. Being a long-term local and a school principal has placed me in the unique position of being somewhat of a listening ear to a large cross-section of our community, with the one common element in this case being our children, and specifically the unknowns in relation to waste for energy. This includes the possible long-term impacts on human health, with the key word being unknowns. It is the unknowns that cause distress, uncertainty, and a new reality for Parks Christian School of a predicted loss of enrolments should the facility go ahead. The decision to leave our school and even the Parks community by parents is not shared as a threat, just a sad reality for those who feel passionately about the safety of their children and now face the prospect of making impossible decisions. Parks Christian School is no stranger to various events or external factors that would threaten the health, sustainability and long-term viability for our organisation. As a fee-paying school, we ride the roller coaster of financial pressures endured by many families through no fault of their own, with the current fuel crisis being one such example. However, in all my 25 years in education, including 11 at Parks Christian School, I'm yet to see a scenario that has caused more uncertainty, community unrest and disappointment with our state government than this proposal. Last year, we reached out to our local state member, Mr. Phil Donato, who took the time to visit Parks Christian School to see all the exciting developments, but also to share our concerns and then see what is now being put at risk. In my 9 years of principal, I have seen our school population grow from 160 to 430 students. We expect to start 2027 with close to 500 students. We are right in the middle of a 12-year strategic facilities master plan, with $22 million still to be invested over the next 5 years, all carefully based on specific predicted enrolments. We're a thriving school community, employing over 60 staff and serving our community as best we can through quality Christian education. So it is with profound disappointment that we now see this waste-to-energy facility as the biggest threat to the long-term health and financial sustainability of our school, including the possible long-term health risk to students and staff. Adding salt to the wound is the fact that the waste being burned is coming from Sydney. Surely, if the science is sound, then it would make far more economic sense to locate such a facility closer to the source. And if there are unknowns around the long-term health impacts on humans and agriculture, then surely locating the facility less than 4 kilometres from a school and in the heart of prime food-producing agricultural land makes even less sense. Every child deserves to come to school and feel safe. If this proposed waste-to-energy facility is not going to make life at school safer for our students and our staff, we can't possibly support it, and government shouldn't entertain it. So on behalf of the school board and the entire Parks Christian School community, I want to thank you for the opportunity to share our concerns and hopefully shed more light on this situation before a final decision on the proposed facility is made. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Westcott. Let's get straight to the questions, as I'm sure we will have many for you. If I can start with you, please, Mrs Green, and Mr Westcott. Are New South Wales farmers more broadly also in support of the position of the Peak Hill branch?
We're not in support. We're not in support of it. No.
No, I know. But New South Wales farmers, as an organisation, they're backing you in your opposition to
100%.
the proposal as well. Yes, that's just wanted to clarify that. Thank you. Now, one of the stated aspirations of the Parks Special Activation Precinct is it for it to be the Central West's newest and most advanced enterprise precinct, producing high-value food and manufactured products for global and national markets. So what's the Peak Hill branch's view of that in relation to the potential energy from waste facility and the chance of its impact on that agricultural land and that production of high-value food and crops?
Yeah, well, we're accountable for so much, and we have to declare so much now. And if those toxins and the unknowns end up in our soil, they end up in wool, they can end up in the wool, and we're accountable for all that now. We're signing declarations and to say that we're clean, we're green, everything we use is we've accounted for, we've done documentations, everything is on paper and safe and approved that we have to use now. And it's the unknown that we don't know about.
Mr Westcott, do you have anything?
Yeah, I'll follow up. Yeah, I agree. This has the potential to be catastrophic. The fact that there is zero risk in this proposal is the thing that has got us on edge. Personally, yeah, we're hitting multiple domestic export markets, and they can just change overnight. That's our income, everything that we've worked for 6 generations. And that's why I'm prepared to stand up here and be against it. As Heather said, everything we do, all our grains have to be declared sustainable now. Meat with MLA, wool, everything has to be sustainable and everything has to be declared, which we, on our farm personally, I'm happy to do that. I can declare everything that I'm aware of and everything that's in my control, but I don't have control of this.
And you do have to sign that documentation indeed from a personal perspective. Now, there's been discussion, and certainly from New South Wales farmers, around the need for a comprehensive agricultural assessment as part of the EIS and the SEARS process that involves a proposed project of this scale. Have you heard anything about the potential delivery of an agricultural assessment?
Not to the best of my knowledge,
Nothing at all. Okay. Certainly the proponents have suggested that that's going to be the case, but that hasn't been communicated at all.
No.
Okay. Do have more questions, but it's like I'll move along so that I can get to each of you and also give my colleagues a chance to speak as well. Mrs. Macaulay, So you talked in your submission about 23 members who were involved in formulating that submission to come to the inquiry.
Yes, that's correct. We hold meetings every third Wednesday of the month, and who's ever present at our meetings, these things are presented, and we contribute from those meetings.
Okay. And what's your membership more broadly? What's the number of members that you have?
At the present, we have 22 members. They're prominently parks. We have some members that are, towards Peak Hill. Most of them are farmers as such. We have others that are involved in community work, working full-time. We have teachers.
So essentially it's your entire membership who are also against this proposal and were part of that submission?
Yes, based on the meetings that we take and have, that would be correct.
Okay. And some of the concerns that you highlighted in your submission, have they all come from within branch members themselves, or is also the CWA being out in the broader community and having those conversations with other residents and locals as well?
That would be a bit of both. And the Country Women's Association, we are a branch. We are also connected to our group who, our neighbours, the Condo, Forbes, Tullamore, Trundle, Kayakatu. So we are part of much more than just parks, and we support each other.
And you're hearing from them, as from those other branch members as well, about concerns as you've put forward?
Yes, we're supported, and we all talk, and we stay connected within the community. Members, participate in different areas, and that we all sort of, work towards the unopposed for
the position. Thank you. Has the CWA, or your branch directly, have you had any engagement or consultation with either the government or the proponents about the proposed facility?
So within our branch, we connect through different areas within the community to gather our information. But again, as a Parks CWA, we're connected to group, and from group then is connected to state. So we are supported at state level with the Country Women's Association in this unopposed waste to energy that they want to put in parks.
Okay, that's interesting to know. So you're supported by the state level. You don't know whether they have had engagement with the government in relation to the proposal?
I can't. I'm not.
That's okay. It's like we can find that out.
I'm not familiar to answer that question at this particular time. Without giving actual factual information.
It's fine. Thank you very much, Mr. Westcott. I'll quickly move to you, please. Now, you've discussed both in your submission and here today that your school is less than 4 kilometres away from the proposed facility. So, in relation to that, had anything at any point been communicated to the school on what's considered or what may be a safe separation distance in that regard?
No, not at all.
And again, coming to the question that I just asked, has the school had any direct consultation, engagement, conversations with the government and or the proponent?
We certainly attended the information sessions that were put on as part of the local engagement strategy. And to be fair, the proponent did reach out to want to talk or offer to talk to the school. That was something that, for a few logistical reasons, wasn't able to happen.
How long ago was that?
That would have, I'm trying to remember, but it would have been not long after the initial engagement, which was held at the RSL Club. Someone may remember that date, but I certainly don't, but towards the start of last year, potentially.
Yep. And with the concerns expressed to you in your capacity about people leaving the area and what you used the term predicted loss of enrolments. So is it something more than just anecdotal information that's being provided to you that you're able to suggest, to use a word with some certainty as predicted?
Look, we're a school, and so our focus is always on teaching student outcomes, and we're very, very hesitant to get involved in politics.
Yep.
And so one of the things that we didn't do was conduct actual surveys of our parent community, because we didn't want to drag people into that space when there was enough unrest already in the community. Eventually, we did put out a statement to the school community saying that we were going to oppose the facility. In all my years of writing emails to parents, that is the one that generated the most responses by a long, long way. And every single one of those responses was an overwhelming thank you for taking a stand over this issue. So between a range of emails and conversations, even though we haven't collected actual data as such, I think there's enough there to say that it's not just people having a whinge, that there are definitely parents, a substantial number in our community, and staff members who would strongly consider leaving our school community and parks if the facility goes ahead. So for us, that's extremely concerning. As I mentioned in our submission, we're in the middle of a 12-year strategic facilities master plan. Still another $22 million to be invested, some of that state grant money. And that's all based on specific student enrolment numbers. And so we've been tracking along according to plan for a number of years now. And it would be nice to have that certainty going forward. However, this has thrown a real shadow over those numbers.
Yes, you've certainly very impressive, 160 to 430 students, well done. But have you seen a reduction or a slowing down in enrolments even since the announcement of the successful proponent as of March last year?
No, we certainly haven't seen a reduction, but we do see it raised as what do you think will happen? That's the most common question I'm asked. Do you think it's going to go ahead? And of course, I don't have the answers for that. So it's definitely something that's on the minds, even of those entertaining enrolments going forward. I would be safe to say that that's an issue that people are concerned about.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. I will give my colleagues a chance to get a word in edgewise as well.
It's very rare with you, Chair. Thank you very much. I'll just direct my questions to Mrs. Green and Mr. Westcott on behalf of the Farmers Association. You talk about declarations and things. I have an understanding of that. I was a grazier some time ago. I went out, there were still orange tail tags on my cattle when I was selling them, and we just crossed over the pink tail tags. So that's how long ago I go. I understand the declaration, but this is your chance to get on evidence and on the record the importance of declarations, what they mean, what the document means, what the ramifications to you as a farmer or grazier if you were to breach those declarations. So could you explain it in a much more fulsome manner, the importance of those? Do you need them to get into the EU marketplace? And in the EU marketplace, does it provide a premium price, which all producers are chasing to make sure that their farm is financially viable? Can you just explain that a bit more for us, please?
Yep, no, is that on? Yep, absolutely. Plain and simple, it'll be catastrophic. That declaration is us, black and white, saying this is raised, born, planted, harvested within these standards. That's Europe, that's worldwide. That's Australian standards, it's worldwide. We've got niche markets, which by the day are getting tighter and greener and harder to access. Absolutely, there is a premium. And my grave concern is if this goes ahead, that those markets are going to vanish overnight. They're going to go find somewhere else, and it's not going to be in parks.
Okay. So then for the uninitiated, and as I say, people will be reading this report that haven't attended today, that have absolutely no idea about agriculture at all, and for them to get a good understanding of it. On your declarations, you've got to declare your inputs that go in, and also any chemicals that you've used both on the crop and on the livestock. And if there's a carcass that gets exported to the EU, for example, and is found in the carcass over then to be some form of chemicals that aren't declared on the declaration form. Explain to us all what happens then.
Yep, absolutely. Everything is traceable to the carcass and to the bale of wool these days. I can sell over to Europe. I can sell my wool over there. I can send a carcass over to the Middle East. It is all traceable to the carcass. If that is found to have a trace of a chemical that I declared that I hadn't used, and it has in fact been picked up, that I hadn't used that product correctly, I will be incarcerated, it will be jail, and be huge fines.
Okay, fine. Let's just take that a step further then, because again, I don't want to hog the time. I'll pass over to my colleagues. Let's take the grain job, for example. Now, let's get out of livestock and go to grain.
Yep.
So you harvest your crop. Let's just say it's wheat, goes to the Grain Corp silo here in Parks, gets tipped in.
Yep.
You sign the declaration, everything's fine. Old mate comes along, he tips his in. Somebody else comes along, tips theirs in. And one of those crops happened to be affected by emissions from an incinerator here in Parks. What happens to that whole silo load then?
It's made redundant overnight. I believe we're the third largest grain exporter worldwide. Grain Corp is our local biggest exporter. If they're to have found something that is harmful, damaging in a particular stack, or it could be, statewide, nationwide, whatever it happens to be, like I said, our markets are perfectly replaceable from other markets around the world, whether it be Russia's wheat, America's wheat. They will find it elsewhere and they won't come back.
Yeah, and I did a bit of grain trading back in the day. I had a stock feed business and produce store, but downgraded wheat could always end up as chook feed.
Yep.
But nowadays, I don't think you could even feed it to chooks, would you, if you're trying to export the carcass or trying to sell the carcass of the chook, for example, for meat?
No, they're going to find a contaminated product along the food chain. It's going to rear its head somewhere, and that's our concern. That, yeah, like I said, it mightn't be on our farm, it mightn't be first hand, it might be second hand, it might be my children's, carcass down the track, and that's what we're trying to stop, and that's why we're here today.
Yeah, and to take it to further again, I used to, as I said, my property was in Goulburn, but I'd buy hay from out around here in Canowindra and places like that, take the hay back home. Next thing, I'm buying a product from here. Goulburn was relatively safe, but I've imported it down there, and the issues could come with my stock from down there as well. So this has the potential of spreading throughout the New South Wales market at least, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, and 100% agree. We're all about traceability. That's been brought in with the EID tags just recently. And yeah, my stock on my farm can soon end up on the other side of the country or somewhere else, and all of a sudden we've got a big issue. Exactly like the varroa mite. It starts as something small, but before we know it, it's expanded, it's unstoppable.
Fine. That'll do me at the moment, Chair.
Thank you. Well, Mr. Roberts had his former farmer hat on. I'll put my former deputy principal hat on, Mr. Glenn Westcott. Look, I fully understand the trust that parents put in, a school leader in terms of leaving their kids for 6-7 hours a day, with a school. So I appreciate, the importance of, the role that you play, but I also understand how susceptible a school's staffing is to bums on seats, as we used to call it. So have you done any look at how many enrolments it would take before you started losing staff? I note from your website you've got over 60 odd staff, which is impressive for a small country school. Have you done any modelling in terms of what it would take before you had to start reducing your staff?
Only very basic. Our school is a K-12 school.
Yeah.
And so we committed to double streaming our school because of community demand 5 years ago. So we started by double streaming our high school, 7 to 10.
Yep.
11 and 12 are still single streamed. And 3 years ago, we started double streaming K-2. So all our modelling is based on a double stream K-12.
Can you explain, like I understand what you mean by single and double stream, but can you maybe explain that a bit in layman terms for the uneducated people?
Yeah, 2 classes per grade. And I will say that if you ever get out of politics and you're looking for a job in the bush, that Parks Christian School is always looking to recruit.
Thank you for that.
2 classes per grade. And so our budget is based on adding a staff member per year to those classes, plus support staff as it goes through. And that's tight as it is. And so there's a critical point where you can justify 2 teachers for 2 grades. But if you can't do that, of course, you have to start combining classes, and student numbers go from being 25 a class to 28 to potentially over 30, which is something that the parent community doesn't expect of a fee-paying school, and it's something that we're not going to entertain in our modelling also. So it's certainly something that's a risk to us, and we're believing that that's not going to happen, and our parents are certainly believing the same thing.
And also, at the primary school level, it could also potentially have the impact of having to run composite classes. And I know that that's always been a bone of contention with parents and community about their not wanting their kid in a composite class, or where their kid sits if they are in a composite class. Are they in the right one?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And look, when I started teaching, I taught a year 3 to 6 class. That's a composite class. Kids across 4 different year groups. Composite classes can work, but it's certainly not something that you want to do if you have the choice, and it's certainly something that the school's committed to not doing going forward. Yeah, for a whole host of reasons, least of which is parent expectation. Yeah.
And do you just talk more about you talked about the strategic plan in terms of investment. How much of that is tied to that enrolment figure?
Well, it's all based on those predicted enrolments and that double stream. So we've started adding facilities to cater for that double stream specifically. So the facilities we've just built, we've built an industrial arts centre and hospitality centre and a high school building with specialist facilities. That's done. A new car park, that was all to cater for the high school double stream. And now we're launching into a brand new double-storey primary building and 2-storey library, which is to cater for those 7 primary classes coming through. So that's what we've committed to. And we've already broken ground. It's ready to start being built and ready for those classes to start being absorbed. And after that is a gymnasium that's coming for that K-12 cohort. So to go from double stream classes to single stream means that the buildings that we're planning aren't needed for the students that we're expecting currently to come through. And we started this process a long time ago. So before the incinerator was even a topic of conversation at board meetings. So we are well down the track of committing to that capital investment. To just start pulling the pin now would be catastrophic.
Yeah. But are you at a state where you're pausing or you're slowing down the process while you wait to see whether this project goes ahead, or are you just having to run the gambit of?
Absolutely. And we've already received a grant for the facility that we're building, so we're committed to that. Yeah. We're absolutely committed to that, and we have to see that through to completion.
Yeah. Is there a timeline on that grant as to when you have to acquit that money?
I would think it's in the next 2 years. So it's a 2-year project. Yep. And we've just started that phase 2 of that project.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Before I come to you, Mr. Primrose, I might just ask one more, and then for you to wind us up there as well. If I could come back, please, Mrs. Green, and to you, Mr. Westcott. On the back of what Mr. Roberts was asking, the strictness of the regulations for farmers when it comes to those declarations, your submission states that farmers don't have any faith in the EPA to effectively regulate, monitor or penalise operators when issues arise. So can you let the committee know what's led to that position?
Yeah. I know firsthand, you're always hearing of breaches, whether it be in the mining sector, probably the predominant one around here, we've got mines. It's a known fact that breaches are occurring around us all the time. And our biggest factor with the EPA and the study and the research which we've done was the intervals at which the testing would be done. I think it was 3 monthly and annually. I don't think that's good enough, personally. For a $1.5 billion project, they didn't have the weather station on site. It doesn't fill me with confidence at all that they've got it under control.
Okay, thank you. And just one final quick one to you, please, Mr. Westcott. Have you spoken with other schools in the wider area about the concerns of your school. As you said, it's a big deal for you to have put yourself forward in this position on behalf of your board and your community. Have you had the opportunity to have discussions with other schools, other principals, and are there similar levels of concern within your professional sphere?
No, we haven't had a great deal of conversation. The other schools know where we stand, based on our community stance. But no, we haven't had a lot of collaboration over it at all. I think the point of difference with us is that we are the closest school to the proposed facility. We are situated just on the edge of town in what is beautiful, peaceful country land, a beautiful place to work. So no, I think we're the ones that are put most at risk, and we know that whatever's coming out of that facility, we're going to be breathing it in. When the pet food factory went in a few years back, all of a sudden we started smelling pet food. And so we know that whatever's coming out of those stacks is absolutely going to be breathed in by our staff and students when those winds are coming from that direction. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Mr Primrose.
Can I just ask each of you, are there any matters that we haven't questioned you on that you really wanted to raise with us today? Maybe starting with Mrs Green.
Yeah, one of my main one was the ash. Where's it going to? Where's it going to end up? You know, we've got the Bogan River. It starts 16, 17 k's out of Parks and then goes right up to the Macquarie Marshes. So, like, where's the ash going to end up? We don't know. It's an unknown. No one knows. Okay. Now, is it going to leak coming out of trucks? Is it? No one knows anything about that. So, yeah, that's my concern, is the ash.
Thank you. Mr Westcott?
No concerns in particular, but yeah, I think my main sticking point is just the risk. They can't assure us that every study that I've seen, there is minimal risk attached to it. And yeah, like we said, we're near waterways, we're near open airs. It's going to move. So that's definitely our biggest concern, is the contamination, for sure.
Mrs Macaulay, are there any matters that we haven't asked you about?
Well, I support the people here today with what they've been saying in regards to, you know, the unknown, the zero risk close to schools. You know, the weather, we believe, you know, you get a southwesterly that comes in, which is just right over there. That pretty much covers a lot of area with one of those weather patterns coming in, and there are concerns.
Thank you. Mrs Bickett?
I'm concerned, like, with, you know, we just don't know what's going to get contaminated. Like, I'm a farmer's wife, so it's going to affect everything. So we're just concerned what it is actually going to do for the town. Yeah.
Thank you. And finally, Mr Westcott, anything?
The only other thing I would say is that, putting all the science aside, because we're not scientists, and we hear the science debates going on, and I'm glad that those debates are going on. But our reality is the perception of our community. The perception of our community is that they don't trust the facility, they don't trust the information that's being presented, and so the reality for us is the perception of our community. So if the perception of our community is such that they don't want it, they don't trust it, and they'll potentially leave, then that's our reality. Putting all the science aside, if we get 30 years down the track and finally discover that, no, it was actually safe, but we lost 30% of our enrolments in the process, it makes no difference to us. The damage is already done. And the second thing I'd say to that is that for those who do stay, if the facility goes ahead, even if the science says it's safe, there'll be this forever cloud of uncertainty over what's being breathed in, what's being put over our crops and our livestock. And 30 years down the track, there'll be this, I wonder if our children are going to be the ones that are going to feature in scientific case studies where all of a sudden it was found that there were harmful contaminants that were being breathed in and having an impact on our children and our staff members and our communities going forward.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Primrose, and I have 1 minute left, so I will squeeze in one more. It's a very powerful statement, Mr Westcott. Thank you. Very thought-provoking. I'll just ask all of you very, very briefly on one of the main points that are advocated by both the government and the proponent about the potential economic benefits. Do you see them? Do you hear them? Is it something that's on your mind when you've taken the position that you have?
Well, it'll be like Peak Hill is a community that really, it takes on like people pulling up and going and seeing the sites and stuff. If they know that something like this is around, they're not going to pull up, they're going to keep driving. Like, why stop whether you're going to get contaminated, or if people have health issues, why stop if you're going to have an asthma attack, or, you know, that's going to affect your health. So people will just keep on moving on, and that's, Peak Hill's a little small town and a beautiful little town community, and we don't want to lose. We're battling to keep little things going now, so to lose even more would be just devastation for our community.
Thanks, Mrs Green.
Yeah, from an economic benefit perspective, I don't believe it's worth the health concerns that we've raised. It's replaceable. Money's replaceable. It's as simple as that. Yeah, we're talking something that's catastrophic to, you know, or potentially catastrophic to health, markets. You know, if one man's gains, you know, could be someone else's losses. If we lose those export markets for our produce in particular, what's $1.5 billion when we don't sign an EU fair trade agreement in the past month? So.
Good point. Mr Macaulay?
I agree. The risks, and, you know, is it all worth for that? Like we had spoken that, you know, once this kind of infrastructure is built, the consequences are not easily undone. And, you know, to build it, it might employ some people for a while. To maintain it, you know, is it really worth all of that for, you know, for the potential of the unknown and the risks that we, you know, are sitting here today to unoppose, that we feel that they will and could be catastrophic.
Thank you. Ms Pickett?
I don't think it would be good for the town. It's just going to like affect everyone in general. Like, as we said, kids growing up here, like my grandchildren, like my daughter, she was wanting to come back to Parks, but she doesn't think she will now, not if this goes ahead. It's just not going to be sustainable. Like, for children growing up here, 30 years' time, who knows? As Mr Westcott said, here's the principle. What's going to happen to kids? Are we going to be projects? Yeah.
Thank you. Mr Westcott?
Fair to say there's no economic benefits that excite us as a school community. We see only risk.
Okay. Well, thank you all very much for appearing and giving your evidence today. We very much appreciate your time and your input. I don't think we took anything on notice, but I'm sure that there will be supplementary questions, including from myself, that the Secretariat will be in contact with you in order to provide those to you. So thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
Ms Robinson, Ms Corcoran, thank you both for joining us today and making the time to give evidence. Could each of you please state your name, position, title and swear either an oath or an affirmation?
My name is Frances Robinson. I'm from Peak Hill. Lived there all my life. I'm an Upper Bogan River Aboriginal person. I am the chairperson of the Peak Hill Aboriginal Land Council, and they've given me permission to come and speak to you guys and take on board, I hope you do, with what we have to say, if that's okay.
Thank you.
I could do this?
Yeah.
I, Frances Robinson, I swear that the evidence now about to be given by me shall be the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth. So help me God.
Thank you, Mrs Robinson.
My name is Amanda Corcoran. I'm a Park Shire resident. I'm also a non-voting member of the Peak Hill Aboriginal Lands Council, and I'm here today to support Arnie Francis. I swear that the evidence now about to be given by me shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God.
Thank you, Ms Corcoran. Would either of you like to make a short opening statement?
I'll do the... I'll get too political, darling, but I'll start with this. I'm cranky. It's true. This is our submission to, when we had to do it last year, the Aboriginal Land Council. The Peak Hill Local Aboriginal Land Council provides this submission to the inquiry into the proposed Parks Energy from Waste facility. As an Aboriginal member-based representative body for the local Aboriginal people that was formed, like many others within New South Wales under the New South Wales Aboriginal Land Rights Act. That's that book there, that's my Bible. We go by that. And was part of a broader movement for Aboriginal people to gain land rights and operate in a wider network with each other. Overseen by New South Wales Aboriginal Land Council, NewsWalk, our main roles are land and cultural heritage protection, including managing returned lands, protecting heritage sites, and preserving history and culture, sites, places, and stories. The Peak Hill Elk, the traditional Wiradjuri custodians, community kinship connections in the Peak Hill Elk service the region, are expressing serious, distressing concerns about the cultural, environmental, health and social impacts of this project on our Wiradjuri community and the broader Park Shire region and subsequent neighbouring shires and regions. The Peak Hill Elk works to protect and promote the cultural heritage of Aboriginal people in its region, a responsibility mandated under the Aboriginal Land Rights Act of 1983. New South Wales has this one, yes? Okay. This role includes managing cultural assets on our land and advising on the protection of heritage sites across our service area. Peak Hill Elk regularly collaborates with government and industry to ensure that local Aboriginal knowledge, customs and laws, LORES, are considered in land and environmental matters, especially in areas of cultural importance. However, in this instance, there has been no consultation, engagement or courtesy shown to the Peak Hill Elk or the Wiradjuri people by the government, EPA or the Park Shire Council. Our Land Council has a statutory and moral responsibility to protect interests, cultural heritage and aspirations of Aboriginal people within our area. I don't even know what that is. The proposed EFW, waste facility, presents significant risk to our country, community wellbeing, cultural values and our songlines. Peak Hill Lauk are deeply concerned that meaningful consultation has not occurred with us nor the local traditional Peak Hill Wiradjuri custodians and Peak Hill community in relation to this proposal. Despite being a key Aboriginal stakeholder and the local representative body under the New South Wales law, Peak Hill Lauk and our local Wiradjuri traditional custodians have not been engaged in any consultation, planning, assessment or any decision-making processes associated with the parks, the waste facility by the proponent, New South Wales Government or Parks Shire Council. This omission represents a clear failure of procedural fairness and cultural respect by the Government, EPA and Parks Shire Council. Consultation to date has not met the standards of free, prior and informed consent. As recognised in the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People, and government policies and strategies in community and cultural protocols of engaging with Aboriginal people. True consultation must be ongoing, transparent and allow time for informed community deliberation. Anything less continues a long history of decisions being made about our people rather than us. Peak Hill Lauk strongly asserts that no cultural or environmental decision affecting Wiradjuri country should proceed without genuine consultation and consent from the rightful custodians of the land. The Peak Hill Lauk and communities where we can open and honestly attest that this was definitely not happening. Risks to culturally significant areas and Wiradjuri heritage. The proposed site lies within Wiradjuri country, encompassing landscapes and waterways of great cultural and spiritual significance, including the Bogan and Lachlan River systems. These waterways sustain life, carry stories and connect communities across Peak Hill, Parks, Condobolin, Forbes and Wellington. In addition to the river systems, creeks alike are also significant, with the Goobang Creek positioned behind the proposed site. The EFW facility proceeds. If the EFW facility proceeds, it risks disturbing or destroying cultural significant sites or landscapes with ancestral and totemic importance. Polluting water systems and soils that support traditional food, medicine and cultural practices, including native plants. Disrupting the spiritual relationship with country, which is foundational to Wiradjuri law, culture and our identity. Wiradjuri culture is inseparable from health of country, and any harm to the environment is also harm to our cultural well-being, our identity and our continuity of culture. The environmental health and social risks. The Peak Hill Lauk shares the community's deep concerns about the environmental and health implications of the proposed waste facility. The key risks include air pollution and toxic emissions that threaten families, farms and native wildlife, water contamination, posing particular risk for rural residents and communities relying on tank or bore water, soil degradation and biodiversity loss, which could impact traditional foods, bush medicines and social Wiradjuri totemic species. Noise, odour and increased truck movements negatively affecting community amenity and well-being. The potential mental health impacts from ongoing fear, uncertainty and environmental degradation are significant, particularly for Aboriginal families who have already experienced generations of dispossession environmental harm. The proposed waste facility raises significant questions of equity and environmental justice. Regional and Aboriginal communities like Peak Hill, Parks, affecting other surrounding communities, are being asked to manage Sydney's metropolitan waste, even though similar projects are prohibited elsewhere in New South Wales due to health risk. This places an unfair burden on smaller rural towns with limited capacity to respond to or recover from environmental damage. This will be devastating to our Aboriginal heritage and our sites and our places that are irreplaceable and are beyond price for us as a Laos and for our people. Additionally, the project could harm local agriculture, affecting soil, health, livestock and produce. Property values and tourism appeal may decline, reduces economic confidence in the region. Without dedicated measures, Aboriginal people will not share in economic benefits such as employment, training or procurement opportunities. PQLALC urges decision makers to consider equity, fairness and cultural responsibility in assessing this project justification. We also asked at the start of 2025, when the LALC we were invited to a meeting which turned out to be a one and only meeting that the PQLALC needed to be consulted and engaged with, and it was necessary for us to have a seat at the table. In all stages to be informed decision making, and for Park Shire and the proponents, transparency. They ticked the box, they did. This was and continues to be ignored. The proposal has already caused distress and anxiety within the Wiradjuri community. Many residents feel excluded, powerless and fearful of further harm to their land and a way of life, their health to themselves and families. The land identified for proposed facilities sits directly across country that encompasses our songlines of our local Pekill Wiradjuri traditional custodians. These songlines represent our ancestral pathways, laws, stories, customs and spiritual obligations. They connect sacred sites, watercourses and ceremonial places across the region. How true. Any disturbance to this landscape, whether through construction, emissions or visual and ecological change, will cause irreversible damage to our ongoing stories, history, cultural identity and spiritual practices. For Wiradjuri people, impacts are not only physical but also spiritual and emotional. The thought of an incinerator operating on or near our songlines causes deep grief and concern for the well-being of our ancestors, our children and future generations. There is more than enough evidence to show that the proposed facility has potential harm to our Aboriginal cultural heritage, specific to our songlines that are a significant component of our identity. The local Bogan River families and other people from the surrounding communities, these songlines have been passed down through stories, vital knowledge on country, people ceremonies and contain information on the landscape and the pathways our people took in their journey throughout our local and wider Wiradjuri country. These songlines are oral maps and libraries of knowledge from our elders and our old people who are knowledge holders and the keepers of our stories. They contain laws, cultural, spiritual, environmental knowledge, geographic and even astronomical laws. Sorry about this. In the Park Special Activation Precinct, Urban Design and Landscape 2021, and the further Aboriginal due diligence assessment carried out in 2021, OZARC, there was identified a no-go zone, which refers to an area around the Aboriginal Cultural Heritage Site that must not be disturbed or developed. It is a protected exclusion area set up around an identified Aboriginal heritage site where no work development or disturbance is allowed. Although subject to the establishment of a 10-metre no-go zone buffer surrounding the site, this is not acceptable to us as a Laos and the local Wiradjuri people. All the recommendations that are interpreted from the urban design and landscape plan, structure plan and Aboriginal planning principles do not exercise our voice, our self-determination and decision-making as local custodians of Wiradjuri. The recommendation the PQLALC respectfully calls on the inquiry to reject the park's energy from waste project, ensure all consultation processes moving forward adhere to governing principles where Peak Hill, Lauk and local Wiradjuri custodians are engaged with and informed at all levels. Establishment of an independent Aboriginal advisory group, which includes Peak Hill, Lauk, Bogan River traditional owners, to oversee cultural heritage protection consultation and environmental monitoring for this project and others within the Peak Hill, Lauk service area, and with Park Shire Council. Commission independent health, cultural and environmental studies free from industry influence to assess short and long-term risks. Redirect investment toward sustainable waste management alternatives, including reduction, reuse, recycling and non-combustion technologies. Develop a local employment training and procurement framework prioritising Aboriginal community participation and benefit. And in conclusion, the Peak Hill Local Aboriginal Land Council strongly opposes the park's energy from waste facility due to unacceptable cultural, environmental and social risk. Wiradjuri people have cared for this country for thousands of years. We call on government to respect our cultural authority, protect our heritage and work in genuine partnership to ensure a clean, healthy and sustainable future for all communities within the Peak Hill and Parks region. Yindamara, that means respect, gentleness and honour, must guide every decision made on Wiradjuri country. Thank you for the opportunity to make this submission.
Thank you, Mrs. Robinson. And if I could draw your attention, please, to obviously in the submission that you've just provided, deeply concerned about the lack of engagement, consultation and courtesy shown, which is one of the points that I know that you made there. You stated that at the start of 2025,
yes,
that the Lauk were invited to a meeting. So that was with the proponents, was it?
Yeah, there was myself as a chairperson. My daughter lives in Canberra. She was on a meet with us. Mm-hmm. She's the vice chairperson. Our CEO, Tony Bell. We were the three reps from Peak Hill. Mm-hmm. Then we had Mr. Kent Boyd. I can't think of, but there was the two guys. Well, what's his name? Mr. Ed Harris? Edward Nichols. Him and another guy there. Mm-hmm. And two people from the Crown Lands Office.
And so they had invited you to that meeting?
They invited us. That's the first and only meeting. I've been aware of. I went to meetings in Narromine when they wanted to put the incinerator there. Mm-hmm. I was at Tom Ingley because they impacted on our songlines, and I went to those two meetings. Then I heard a whisper in 2019 that there was going to be a plastic incinerator here. Mm. Now, 2019. That was just something I heard on the street at Peak Hill, my home, my baby. That was I heard that on the street there. Meanwhile, all this has come about from 2019 up till 2025 for us to sit down with Park Shire Council and these two guys, I suppose they're the investors, and have a talk. And we just blatantly said no, straight up. No incinerator in parks.
So you said it at that point in time that was no from the Lands Council's perspective?
Yeah, I was given the power by the board and our 80 members of the Lands Council to come and speak on our behalf and to me, I'm passionate about our culture, our waters. I could take you out and show you where there's springs, where the songlines are. I could do that. My brother is fantastic with how to put it all together, the map. He's got one. Mm. There's one going towards Condo from the Bulgandra Mission. I know where that one is. There's one coming to Parks. I know where that one is. One going to Wellington because I went to the Miriam Parks. They come this way to go to Cowra, to Nanama Mission up in Wellington, Tabaga in Dubbo. The head of the octopus was began to mine mission there, where the tentacles went out to all the other missions around, where they moved. Our songlines. I'm passionate about it.
And so did they take all that on board during that meeting? Did they promise you that they would come back to you, that they would engage in
Nada.
any way? What sort of did they tell you during that meeting?
Nothing.
Nothing at all. So they listened to your concerns but didn't offer anything?
Didn't offer anything. We had, I don't know why, because Park Shire Council had zipped it and locked it and kept it all in their pocket, to say my old analogy. Because we had quarterly meetings with them. We had that. That's with the mayor over the last 4 years. Not once did they mention anything about what's happening now. Not one. We never had the opportunity to do anything.
So except for this inquiry and that chance to put forward that submission, you haven't been reached out to at any other point? That's essentially the only time that you've had the chance to put forward the concerns? And
yeah, because this is, to me, this is the Land Rights Act of 1983. There's 2 sections in there that they breached. It is section 52, number 4, that tells us our functions, but local shire councils can plan, approve and build infrastructure in areas with Aboriginal heritage sites, but they are strictly regulated by state and federal laws to prevent, manage or mitigate damage to those sites. Infrastructure development in these areas requires a rigorous process of assessment, consultation with Aboriginal communities and specific approvals. Didn't do that.
so, Mrs Robinson, could I ask you then, if the proponents proceeded to do that now, would that change the position of? No.
No way in God's green earth. We've got the food and fibre industry out there that'll be struggling. The Aboriginal, I know a tree that's out there that I could take the bark off. If you suffered with gastroenteritis tonight, I could go and get that bark, treat it and bring it to you and get you a drink and it'll be gone within 24 hours.
We've got poor Dr Con who's ill. Maybe it's like that's what she should have gone and done.
I'd welcome him. I could do that. There's another plant out there that I won't tell you where and how it's used. You've got an infection in your body, an open wound, an infection. This plant, put it on there moist at night, wrap it up. It will, when that comes off, all the infection will come out. You know, things like that.
So there's no change to the position.
There won't be any change, babe, because the rosin on the trees out there, they take that down. That's the glue. When they want it strapped, they get if there's a roadkill, they can use the, I suppose, the tendons, sinews from the kangaroo, use a rosin, and they can make, that's their glue to glue that together. So you think I'm going to agree to something as monstrosity, a thing like that, to come in and wreck what I've got out there? I'm getting cranky now, look.
No,
true.
that's
I
okay,
am.
that's okay. And Mr Banasiak has a question now as well.
You did kind of answer it when you talked about the Aboriginal Land Right Act. Is your position that the government and the proponent have failed their legal obligations?
That's exactly right. That's it in a nutshell. And you know what I mean? I would like to see a caveat put over that building, that land out there now, because of the simple fact they did not acknowledge us, and it is part of this Land Rights Act. They didn't come back to us. The first thing was done 12 months ago. Until we get suitable, you know, I don't know. But with the government now, this is my own personal conspiracy theory, Inland Rail is going to come from Beveridge in Melbourne, eh? Inland Rail is linking up on the Southern Highlands, aren't they? Okay, that's fun. They stopped at Moree, that's where it ended. I asked a parliamentarian who was here, I said, did they go broke? He said, no, they're trying to find another way over the mountain. They found it, didn't they? Because you got the New England Highway and Inland Rail project to get this rail through and to get the freight from Sydney. Are they going to take freight up to Brisbane? I doubt it. The garbage that they won't be able to put on the back of these trains to come down pick up more, they'll be going up to Brisbane, and we'll be here in Parks, we'll be the centre. It's logistics, they done it with the hub of the Tentacle, with all these lines coming into Parks. You think we're going to sit back here and take Brisbane's rubbish coming down that way, bring Melbourne's rubbish up from there, or take Sydney's around that way? Indian Pacific goes out to Broken Hill. South Australia could take their rubbish up there and they could bring it back. You think we're in for that? Not in my lifetime. I won't. And this part here from here, I reckon they went and ripped it up and flushed it down the toilet because they didn't want to use it. My old father had a saying, when you're white, you're all right. When you're black, you stand back. When you're brown, you hang around. These parliamentarians, whoever EPAs and all those guys, they must think I'm ignorant, or the people at Peak Hill are ignorant, us Aboriginal people. Sorry, not on my watch. I'm here to fight the solidarity march we had here, to fight for the Aboriginal culture and the food and fibre industry.
What would you like to see as a result of them failing their legal obligations to you as a community? What would you like to see as a consequence?
I would like to see someone, I want a caveat put on it, I'll tell you now, because they must have went somewhere else to get permission of an Aboriginal graduate elders. Hey, come on, Peak Hill Land Council get priority according to the law. To get permission to bring this up as far as what it is now. To start 7 years ago and bring it to this level now, someone along the way got permission, or somebody else, and I want to know who that other body is, so that I can subpoena them, put them in court and say, go, I don't want to know you. That's selling. If they come from down south, South Australia, Victoria, and they say, oh, put it there, that's not going to impact on their lifestyle where they are, but it's going to impact on the Aboriginal culture that's here and the food and fibre industry that people rely on, that we all rely on, to put bread and butter on our table. You know, I'm getting too cranky.
No, cranky is good.
Cranky is good, but I've got a lady up the back there, Brooke knows how I go.
Yeah.
Hey, Brooke.
No, it's important to show things that you're passionate about. Can you just maybe elaborate on around water and the connection to water and how important that is, not only from a cultural perspective, but also a fishing perspective in terms of the importance of that to your community?
Well, everyone knows water is the bread of life.
Yeah.
That's true. I'm going to say something now. I take my hat off to North Parks Mines when it comes to Aboriginal consultation and culture. They've got the creek out there, they've got over 300 artefacts there in that creek. No one's allowed near it. They don't touch it. They respect us and that creek and that water where they sharpen their rocks, got their head, the axe heads and everything. Look, I've got to show you. Do you mind if I...
Oh, we'll get someone bring it up, that's fine.
That lady there.
So this mine is probably the the better standard for how
they are at this level. They are better communicators with the Aboriginal people. We sit down, we chew the fat, we talk about it, and at the end of the day, we've got a mutual respect for one another, and 9 times out of 10, we get things done. On the 23rd of April, all the artefacts that was taken into the office out there since it first Canadians, Rio Tinto had it. My son was an electrician, he's an electrician. He went underground there to set it all up. His boss, he was an apprentice at the time. He was there right from the get-go. Now, with the Aboriginal Sites part there. We're going to have a repatriation of all those artefacts back out on country. They're never to use, never to go off country. So there's a creek out there, we've picked it out where we're going to put them all back on country. They don't come away. You don't take anything away. I had people, they were doing the road up between Peak Hill, Tamingli and Dubbo. They cut down scarred trees. I worked at the Land Council then. They said, Francis, do you want me to bring them in? Oh, no, Where'd you cut them down at? Just out there on the outside of Tamingli, okay. I want you to put a base down, stand those trees upright and proud the way they were before you made room to put that road, extend that road, and put a cover on top. They done it. When you drive that way between Tamingli and Dubbo, you'll see those two trees. He wanted me to bring them in town. No, they stay where they are. There's a tree up here that I went up to Bushman's Hill there. Sad. I nearly cried when I seen that tree that came from off country. This is why I am so passionate about where this is going and the impact on I'm a great-grandmother and I teach my grandkids. I teach them. And you know what my favourite food is that I can't buy in a butcher shop? I'll tell you now. You can laugh. It's a goanna. I eat it. The fat from that goanna, when you eat it, it's like an oil. In the summertime, I pity all the ones laying on the beaches and that, melanomas and that. You can sit in the shade and the tan. You will tan. The oil looks after all my bones. I played squash until I was 60. And I play golf now. But that is my favourite food to do me, with all of its nutrition that I find. I'm sorry, but I'm getting off the track, aren't I?
No, there's no off track. Just be clear, there is nothing that the proponents could say or do or offer your community that would make you change your position.
Until they come back and pay the piper, they broke this without coming to us first up. And if the State Land Council get back to me, God willing they will, I will see them all in court. Because we're not here to say, only look after the food and fibre industry. We're here to look after our culture, health, all of the above in communities.
Thank you.
Mr. Roberts, do you have
No, I have no questions.
Mr. Primrose? Well, thank you both. Ms. Corcoran, I will ask if you have anything that you would like to add in our last few minutes together.
Sorry, I took up.
Yep. So I just want to confirm and support Auntie Frances here in addressing the cultural harm. The project site within a landscape of the cultural significance and disturbing the land risks damaging sites. There is a scar tree, there's multiple scar trees in the park's special activation precinct, and there is one in particular, however, which is less than a kilometre from the proximity of the development area, and it's also well known amongst the traditional owners that it is a part of their songlines, which is a cultural living map, and the songlines can also be known as dreaming tracks. They are routes across country that connect important places, travel paths and boundaries that traditional owners have specific rights and responsibilities over the sections. Songlines are rarely mapped for three reasons, and knowledge, the restricted and not always shared publicly because it can be gender specific or initiated knowledge, and it could also be the risk and misuse leading to damage or exploitation. Given the presence of the recorded sites in the very close proximity, it is reasonable to infer that the broader area forms part of an interconnected cultural landscape, including the songlines. So the Land Council and the traditional owners and the wider Aboriginal community reject the project until proper consultation process occurs. And at the heart of this is a simple principle, Yindamara, respect. We ask that the committee listen, not just hear, but truly listen to the voices of our communities and to our cultural authorities, because this decision is not just about today, it is about what we leave behind for the next generations. Once country is damaged, we cannot restore its spirit. Once trust is broken, it is hard to rebuild. So I ask that we stand with the community, respect cultural authority, and make the decision to protect country.
Thank you. Is there anything further that you'd like to add to that statement?
I think Auntie Frances covered it all.
She certainly did. No, it's good.
That lady, that photo there that
Yes.
just showed you, Granny Dargan, the full-blood Aboriginal lady, she lived out on the reserve out near North Parks Mines. Their songlines come here, and she spoke 5 dialects of language. My great-grandmother, and she lived in, once they moved, she lived in Peak Hill. She was the core person there to enable us to be passionate about, and I will not go against my grandparents' teachings for anyone.
So would you like us to table this for the committee to be able to look at it as well, or would you like for us to hand it back to you?
No, you can have that. I've got another one in the car. They travel with me wherever I go.
Okay, we'll table that one for the committee's opportunity to take a look. So thank you for providing that. Well, thank you to you both for appearing today and for your evidence. We didn't take anything on notice, but if there are supplementary questions or additional questions from any of the committee members, the Secretariat will be in touch with you to provide those to you within a time frame to be answered. So thank you for joining us today and for expressing your position on the matter.
Don't forget to put, I request that caveat put on that block out there until such time as they acknowledge us, please, until we get to the bottom of what they've done wrong.
Thanks, Mrs. Robinson. That's
Thank you.
definitely noted. Thank you. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you to you both and welcome, and we appreciate you making the time to give evidence today. Could each of you please, starting from my left, state your name, position, title and swear either an oath or an affirmation?
Michael James, Chair of the Aboriginal Working Party in Parks. I swear an oath. I swear that the evidence now about to be given by me shall be the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help me God.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Karen Schaefer. I'm the Chair of the Aboriginal Advisory Committee in Peak Hill, and I swear that the evidence now about to be given by me shall be the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help me God.
Thank you both. Now, would either or each of you like to make a short opening statement?
Yes, Madam Chair, I'd like to do an opening statement if I may.
Yes.
So I stand here today as the chair of the chairperson representing the voice of the Parks Aboriginal Community Working Party and our broader Aboriginal community here on Wiradjuri country. I pay my respects to elders past and present and acknowledge our ongoing responsibility to care for country and community. We are here because we are deeply concerned about the proposed waste-to-energy incinerator in Parks. This is not just another development for us. This is about our land, our health, our culture and our future. As a community working party, our role is to bring forward the voices of the local Aboriginal people, and those voices are clear. We are seriously concerned about this project. Country is not just land, it holds our stories, our identity and our connections to ancestors. Any development that risks damaging that connection is something we must question very carefully. Our community is already facing challenges. The potential for added pollution, toxins and long-term environmental harm raises fear for our families, especially our children and our elders. We do not feel that Aboriginal voices have been properly heard or meaningfully engaged in this process. Consultation must go beyond information sessions or last-minute engagement. Calling us in at late stage after the key decisions have already been shaped does not constitute genuine consultation. True engagement requires early, ongoing and respectful involvement where Aboriginal communities can contribute to decision making in a way that influences outcomes, not just responds to them. The Parks Aboriginal Community Working Party stands alongside our Aboriginal organisations, including Peak Hill Local Lands Council, and firmly calling for genuine ongoing consultation, recognition and respect for cultural authority and for the full transparency consideration of the risk to the community and country. We are not against progress, but progress must never come at the cost of people, culture or future generations. We ask this committee to take our concerns seriously, to ensure Aboriginal voices are not only heard but respected and meaningfully included in decision making, and to remember that the decisions made here will have lasting impacts on our community. We carry a responsibility to those who come before us and to those who will come after us. We ask you to carry that same responsibility. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. James. Ms. Schaefer, do you have anything further to add?
Good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity to speak here today. My name is Karen Schaefer, Keed, Chairperson of Peak Hill Bogan River Aboriginal Advisory Committee. I stand here also today as a traditional custodian of the local Upper Bogan River Wiradjuri country, and I speak on behalf of my community. I also speak on behalf of those who cannot speak, our old, our future generations and the country itself. We are the original people of this land. We have cared for this country, its waters, its waterways, its plants and its animals for thousands of years before European occupation. Our survival has always depended on the health of this land.
Our law is not written on paper. It is written in the land, in the water, and carried through us. This is not just about a development today. This is about cultural survival, environmental protection, and human health. The proposed energy from waste facility at Parkes places all that at risk. Our country is deeply interconnected. Snake Rock, Goobang, the Bogan River, and the surrounding plains forms a living cultural system connected through our songlines, our law, and our responsibility to care for them, and also Goobang National Park. This is law, our living system of knowledge, responsibility and balance. Snake Rock is a culturally significant and protected site. It is not open to the public at all. We are developing a cultural and environmental program, which is almost complete, to ensure the long-term survival of this site and its ecosystem. We also have Wurgandramine Mission, a significant Aboriginal place along the Bogan River, where there are traditional graves and burial trees, as well as scar trees that hold deep cultural meaning and history. This site, like others, sit within the impact pathway of this proposal. Goobang National Park supports threatened species, including woodland birds, microbats and native mammals, they rely on clean air, vegetation and water. Our committee shares responsibility through joint management. It is our duty to care for our country. Airborne emissions such as particulate matters, heavy metals, dioxins can travel kilometres from their source. The distance between Parkes and Goobang is not a barrier. What is released into the air spreads across country, and what touches country touches us, our bodies, our food and our spirit. This places our community at risk of serious health impacts. We continue to gather bush foods and medicines still to this day. Since European settlement, we have adapted to agriculture, but our cultural boundaries do not stop at a fence line. This region is a major food producing belt, supporting New South Wales and beyond. Contamination would move through crops, livestock and food systems. Water is another major concern. Water is life, it carries everything. In times of flood, water spreads across the plains into the Bogan River and continues downstream. The connected system can carry contamination through the Barwon and the Darling systems and into areas such as Menindee Lakes, which have already suffered environmental stress. There is also interaction between surface water and groundwater systems. Water can recharge aquifers and contribute to the broader river system over time. And there is an aquifer just out here that leads into the Lachlan, meaning contamination risks are not limited to surface flow. These rivers form part of the Murray-Darling Basin, which is also under strain. Additional toxins risk compounding damage across this critical system. We were not properly consulted by the proponents of this project, and free, prior and informed consent was not achieved. We are opposed to progress. Wait, hang on. We are not opposed to progress, but it must not come at the cost of our existence. Sorry about that. We stand in opposition to this proposal, and we stand alongside local farmers and community who rely on this land and water to survive. We respectfully ask that this proposal be rejected and that genuine consultation occur and that culturally significant areas be protected, because once contamination occurs, it cannot be undone. Yindamara, with respect.
Thank you. Thank you both. I'll begin by saying that each of you had mentioned quite specifically that this is not just another development. So you clearly see it as something different to other infrastructure proposals, other things that have the potential to be part of the special activation precinct? You see this as something quite separate?
Yes, yes, correct. As Arnie Francis said, you know, not to single out the North Parks mines, but clearly a lot of their strategies going forward has been environmentally safe, possibly you know, foolproof, I guess. You know, this technology with energy and the burning is all new to this country, obviously, and you know, mining's been around a long time. We've seen the do's and don'ts, I guess, of the mining industry, and they've somewhat cleaned that up, you know, to, it's just the unknown, I think. Just knowing that these particles can travel and lay on my grandchildren's toys in the backyard and inside the home that they can touch and put in their mouths. I don't think the technology's been proven that it's 100% safe at the moment, is what concerns me. And look, it's great that the Aboriginal community and the broader community, farming community, everybody's coming together on this issue, which is great. Whereas before, you know, we weren't included in a lot of this, you know, back in the old days, I guess. So it's been great that we can all work together, no matter of race, colour or creed. We're all fighting a common goal here to protect our environment, the whole country in an essence, I guess. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Ms. Schaefer?
I think our community's concern is that this development is sitting right smack bang in the middle of a catchment area. And yeah, so that's where our concerns are.
Okay. Now, obviously, both of you and Mrs. Robinson and Ms. Corcoran before you were talking about a lack of proper, comprehensive, genuine engagement. You've suggested that not properly consulted, so that means that there has been some level of consultation with either the government or the proponents?
Yeah, from the chair, as the chair of the working party, I was contacted in October of last year by Ed Nichols. I did venture down to their facility here at the lower end of Clarinda Street to speak to Ed and another representative. Just very briefly, they wanted to have a meeting with the Aboriginal Working Party. And we had a meeting coming up on the 30th of October, which I said that we'd table possibly meeting with them, but there was a submissions being closed the very next day after that meeting. I just thought the timing wasn't very great to present whatever they were going to present to my working party, you know, with one day out from a chance to put submissions for or against the project. Yeah, so I sent an email the day before saying that in the interest of the Aboriginal Working Party and the Parks community that we would meet possibly in the future. Mr. Edward Nichols has reached out to me since then. I haven't responded as yet. He would like to come to one of our meetings to present you know, the proposal for the plant. So that's the only consultation, was at one time probably 15-20 minute meeting at their facility, and I didn't speak for the Aboriginal community. I said I would take it back to our Aboriginal Working Party. Yeah.
Do you have anything further on that, Ms. Schaefer?
I think when we say this project wasn't properly consulted, I would say it wasn't properly consulted with the rightful people. So you can have Aboriginal people in communities, but you have the custodians of the community. So the traditional people of this area are the Upper Bogan River people. And for any work or any consultation to happen, we are the rightful people to speak with, and that wasn't done. And I am aware that certain people have been consulted with, but yeah, it just wasn't the appropriate people or the rightful people of the land.
Okay, so if the proponents are reaching out and attempting to have further meetings, if genuine consultation from the perspective of your organisations, your groups, your members did occur, if informed consent, which as you pointed out wasn't received, if there was informed consent, would the position of your groups and your members potentially change?
No. I don't think so, not at all. We oppose it because of the very things that I've said in here, and no, it wouldn't change at all.
Mr. James? Sorry, Ms. Schaefer.
But in saying that, maybe we could work out, a different strategy or come up with something.
Mr. James?
Yes, correct. Just back to what Karen said, that consultation with the correct people. Like I am a TO for Parks and my family are from the Bogan tribe as well. What we would have done if we would have followed through with that consultation would have been to reach out to Peak Hill and traditional owners from there as well. And we're all family and we all want to be transparent about what was going on or what's proposed to go on if we were to have discussions going forward with them. So I just want to reassure you, Karen, yeah, there was no disrespect by me taking that back to our Aboriginal Working Party. We're meant to be a conduit for this community here and have a great consultation with the council, but sometimes it seems to go around us rather than through us. We're not the end of, we don't dictate that, these projects stop with us, but we'd like to be a part of the process to discuss and have open, dialogue around this proposal, I guess, yeah.
And so you certainly haven't had any consultation or engagement from what you've been saying here this afternoon with the government?
No.
No, none at all?
None at all.
No. Okay. Mr Roberts, do you have anything? Mr Bonacio?
Just one, to your knowledge, has there been any Wiradjuri-led Aboriginal cultural assessment done on this site prior to it being chosen? Was there any cultural assessment done on the site?
Not that I'm aware of as the chair of the Working Party.
Something does come to mind, and I'm pretty sure there was a cultural site survey done out there or in the vicinity, and there are evidence of occupation out there, and I'm pretty sure that there is a...
Was it done by the right...
yes.
Was it done by the right people?
Yes, that was done by our community.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
That was really it from me for the moment.
Mrs Robinson, and it was remiss of me not to ask, but Mrs Robinson mentioned the area that was identified as a no-go zone, which refers to an area around Aboriginal cultural heritage site that must not be disturbed or developed. It's a protected exclusion area. Is that what this area is? Is it part of that no-go zone? Where is this no-go zone that... To
my knowledge, I cannot put a recorded map to mind to give to you.
But that could be provided, to the committee?
Well, I'm pretty sure the Aboriginal Land Council should be able to provide that to you.
Okay.
And
Great,
but the biggest concern is that it's a catchment area, so there would have been occupational sites there. Yes.
Okay, Mr James,
Well,
you're not aware of the no-go zone as such?
I've heard about it, but to the exact, as I said, not to the exact location, no.
Okay, yeah, we might take that further with a supplementary question. Now, what about when it comes to economic benefits? Again, a number of the submissions from the various Aboriginal groups has talked about the economic benefits for Aboriginal people. Firstly, has there been anything advanced in that regard? Secondly, what would you consider to be a component or element or measure of that.
Do you mean economic development for out there?
Well, the benefits to the Aboriginal community. So I'm presuming that we didn't have the chance to explore it further, but it would be jobs, whether it's training, whether it's health facilities, that type of thing. Whether anything's been discussed with your groups about the potential for economic benefits for your communities.
No, nothing like that has been discussed with our communities.
Okay.
No, I've had consultations with Fulton and Hogan and other various inland rail and various infrastructures that have come to town here, and we talk about job opportunities and career paths after those job opportunities for our Indigenous people, but none in relation to this facility, proposed facility.
And what if they were to be forthcoming? What if the proponents put forward something to say, well, we're happy to formulate a plan for economic benefits for your Aboriginal communities? Would that then be taken into consideration?
It would be taken into consideration.
Obviously, if this was to come to fruition and was to be built, I guess, you can't deny people need to put food on the table. So, if any Indigenous person could work there, that'd be their choice. But I mean, once again, we draw it back to the health implications of this facility, not only in the toxins possibly and the ramifications from that, but also in the building construction game in general, I guess. But yeah, look.
Can I just say something?
Yeah, certainly.
So, to me, having 5 Aboriginal people working on a site that's potentially going to damage a whole community, a whole region, I'm not quite sure that I would agree with it going ahead,
And certainly one of the earlier witnesses today said that, it's money's one thing, but health and well-being is something that can't be replaced.
Right.
Can I also just briefly come to, please, that you talked about the mines, and Mrs. Robinson also talked about how well they do when it comes to engagement and consultation and ongoing conversations with the Aboriginal communities. What about renewable projects? You also said that that you're not opposed to development as such. Do you find that for your communities, from a cultural perspective, it's this cumulative effect of renewables, of you have the mines that are working as well, now a facility such as this? Is there concerns around the cumulative impact of all of these large-scale developments?
So when you say cumulative?
So all on top of each other. So you're dealing with all of these things at one time, so that it's not just a matter of one large facility that you're dealing with. You've got the mines, you've potentially got this, you've got renewables projects happening as well. Is there a concern about the broader impact on cultural practices, on traditional lands, etc., when it's all coming at one time on our regional areas?
That's a concern. I mean, obviously, small towns like ourselves, can't always rely on, farming and the old saying on the back of the sheep's back. But I mean, that's a vital part of our life out here, to care for our land and produce. And as earlier speakers were saying, that it's a harder and harder market with the green aspect of it now, producing these products. And any impact that this will have, from toxins and things is detrimental to the parks community and neighbouring farming land. With the, also with a facility like this brings progress, obviously, but parks, we don't oppose it, but it's going, with the mining industry growing out near Tomingley there, it's expanding, taking over a lot of agricultural land, and a lot of people don't have too much say in that. We don't want to see parks become a monstrous, Detroit, pumping out chemicals and toxins. We want to see progress, but we want to see it come under a concern for the health and well-being of the people. I know people need jobs and need to buy homes, and it adds to the economy. But at what cost, to our people. I think there's other avenues there for this rail infrastructure to bring other productive industries here rather than things burning toxins, yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Mr Primrose, do you have anything that you'd like to?
For me, just one, as I've asked everyone, are there matters that we haven't asked you in relation to questions that you would like to nevertheless make a comment on? Is there anything we've missed out on that you'd like to raise before we finish?
No, I just think, it's great that you've given us your time here today. I just hope that, all these great speakers today, all the stuff from the heart with Auntie Frances as well and our farming community are taken into, look, we're a big country. I'm sure there's somewhere else this place could go. And we just don't want to live in parks at the moment.
Ms Schaefer?
I have to agree. There's plenty like Australia's massive. I think it could go somewhere else, not here, where it's going to be detrimental to our river systems, to our fauna and flora, to our pollinators, everything. If it goes here, it's just going to have a massive impact. And like I said, not just for the Aboriginal people and their community or our community, the whole region. The whole region, everybody that lives here in Parks will be affected.
Yeah, I think
it needs to go somewhere else.
Yeah, if we'd have known that this rail project was going to bring something like this to this region, we would have opposed that rail infrastructure and the double size of those things a long time ago if we knew it was going to bring something like this to our community.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr Primrose. Well, I think that is all of our questions for you both, so thank you very much for appearing today. We may have supplementary questions for you that will then come forward through the Secretariat, so thank you for your time and your evidence and providing us with some of your insights today.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Some papers?
Thank you.
I've been noting them so we can go through them later.
Okay.
That'll conclude formal proceedings.
Mm-hmm. So, ladies and gentlemen, that will conclude formal proceedings for the public hearing side of the inquiry this morning. We're going to break for lunch now, and then we will return at 2:15 to commence the public forum. Thank you.